Good morning. Good afternoon, my Teaserking family. How's everybody? So last night, a exciting 1916 San Diego win. We had Denver because we played against San Diego, which is a little more prudent. So let's look at what's happening in the NFL. God knows it's a mess. College, we've got down to an art. So that's nice, but as I'm saying, I can't use the same analysis, right? What do? I lock USC, Utah over, goes over. I lock Oregon, Oak State, and TCU over, goes over. I lock Washington State, Oregon State under, goes under. Everything's pretty much what it should be in college. I took Clemson, they win. You take Minnesota, Illinois under, it's under. The Iowa State, Texas under, it's on. Not a lot of difference of what happens, right? You think this is going to happen, it pretty much does. In the pros, I think the difference in the pros is there's so many bad coaches, so many injuries, so many lack of talent, let's say, players that you get this inconsistency. So the over team, Buffalo and Kansas City, doesn't go over. The under team, Jacksonville, Indy, doesn't go under. So the concepts aren't the same in both sports, even though they're football. I'm watching, what did I watch? I was watching highlights of San Diego, Denver, and again, it's fourth down, and San Diego, it's 4th and 2, and they go. I don't remember the play. I don't even think it was that game. But they'll go for 4th down instead of kicking field goals. It's insane. Maybe that was the Dallas-Philly game. I don't remember. I was watching one of the highlights, and you couldn't believe the guy goes for the first down when they're at the 20-yard line or something. Even inside the 10, they go for the first down. And don't they understand it's extremely difficult to gain 2 yards, the closest yard to the goal line, because you lose the end zone? So there was a week ago, Cleveland and San Diego played. And I heard this on the radio yesterday. And they interviewed the San Diego coach, like, what the hell are you doing? At the end of the game, they have the ball like their own 40 with a 2-point lead. So it's punt, and then off you go. And then they got to drive, 85, 90 yards to kick a field goal. He goes for it. He doesn't get it. Even his own guys are like, what the hell are you doing? The coach's explanation is, well, we thought we had the right matchup. And if Justin Herbert could throw the ball to whoever the receiver is, because Keenan Allen was out, he was the one texting. He said, well, I thought that was our best chance, because then we'd keep the ball and run the clock out. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you don't know how to coach. That's not your best chance to go for. Like, you're assuming on 4th and 2 at your own 40, you're going to make it. And if you don't, you should have lost the game if Cleveland would have kicked the field goal, but they missed it. Versus punting the ball, and then they got to go the distance. What are you saying? So I don't think any of the coaches understand or have any faith in their defense, which, watching the highlights, the defenses are pretty bad. There's very few teams I'm watching that just shut you down. Dallas is one of them. Philly, San Francisco, I thought. There's just not that much defense out there. But the coaches are wrong. You don't go for – when you go for a 4th and 2, even a 4th and 1, but anything after that, you can't assume you're going to make it. You've had 3 chances, right? 1st and 10. Now it's 2nd and whatever, and 3rd and whatever. Now it's 4. You've had 3 chances to gain your 10 yards. You didn't do it. So now it's 4th and 2. What did you do on 3rd and 2 that you didn't get it? And then why would you think now it's fourth down, we're going to get it? I mean, it's just the coaches are out of their mind. I swear I don't think any of them are real football coaches. I think they're just figureheads like CEOs, and they're going, oh, it's 4th and 3. I should go. The odds say I should go for it. So somehow in their minds, if they punt the ball or kick a field goal, they think they're going to lose, or their defense gets it over. I'm not quite clear what it is they're trying to establish by going for it on fourth down versus the punt, the field goal, play defense. What I don't know what they're missing, because it's not black and white. Go for it. We're going to make it because we got a matchup. Well, if you have this wonderful matchup, why didn't you get it? And the fact that a lot can go wrong. It's very hard. The only time I would ever go for fourth down, it's got to be 4th and 1 or 2, or it's got to be at the end of the game where I actually have to score a touchdown, or it's at the other team's 40 and in, and my kicker can't kick a 57-yarder, which today the balls must be really pumped because all these guys make 55, 60-yard field goals like it's nothing. And that was never the case. You couldn't kick a 50-yard field goal back in the day, the 70s and 80s. You'd never have anything more than 50 yards. Tom Dempsey had the 63-yarder against the Lions in the 70s, but that was just a pure fluke that he made by a half an inch over the crossbar. So I don't get it. It's almost like if you're at the 40, kick the field goal. If you're at the 50, punt the ball, punt it out at the 5, and play defense, and maybe get a turnover, or then you're going to get the ball back at the 50, especially at the end of the game, and you're winning. The last thing you want to do if you're winning is to lose because you give up a field goal, because you give them all they need 10 yards for a field goal. It just, the excuses of we had the matchup and you know, we felt we could do it isn't an answer. It's not a good answer. It's not a correct answer. Hi, Carter. Good morning. Nice to have you here. Please ask questions, comments, whatever you'd like. Right now we're talking the pro football, but you can ask college or gold or economics or any of my fields. I have many hats. So it's just really weird what's going on. Like the Lions, for example, their coach is the worst coach. He's not even a good high school coach, this guy. He goes for it, 6 times against New England. I got 4 wins on 5 pick. Okay. Do you have the 5th game? Did you go 4-1, or do you want help on the 5th pick? Or I don't know what that means. I got 9 wins on 2 10 picks, 3 hockey wins. Can't help you with hockey. I can only help you in theory. Denver +4. Bobby Bowe. Here we go, Bobby. This is pro football, but you can ask gold, silver, college, whatever you like. I mean, it's a general, but it's like the emphasis is on pro football here. But, we're just looking at last week's. But I'm getting into this fourth down crap because it's just way out of control. And it's starting to cost us money, almost like a turnover. I'm waiting on New York Yankees in Cleveland today. I took Cleveland +1.5. Well, who's the pitchers and what's their ERAs? You don't bet money lines in baseball. You bet pitchers. It's all about pitchers. Nobody can hit Justin Verlander. So you bet on him. But baseball is much harder than football. So eat my avocado, Bobby Bo. They're using the bullpen today. Bet it over. How can they be using the bullpen in a playoff game? What is that? They don't have 3 starters? Yeah, just go over. Oh, the game was postponed yesterday. So why aren't they using the pitchers they used yesterday? Or did they play a few innings and then postponed it? Yeah, it was raining here. I'm in Detroit. So Cleveland's on the lake. They shouldn't have postponed. They should play in the rain. That's ridiculous. Anyway, so way too many going on. So I'm almost understanding these fourth downs as turnovers. And it really kills the overs because the team look at the Buffalo Kansas City. The Buffalo drove down to the 5, and instead of kicking a field goal, goes for it on fourth down, doesn't make it. It's the same as a turnover at the 5. And they did it again 3 times in that game. That the between the two teams, they had the ball. I think Kansas City threw an interception, and Buffalo went for it twice and didn't get it. But you got no points. So it's almost like a turnover. The talk is in the final of 5-game playoff. The talk? So this is game 5, and the series is tied at 2. Okay, do they choke in this? Has Judge got a hit yet? Probably not. Anyway, I don't really have time for baseball now, but so these are like turnovers. This is like a fumble or an interception going in, which kills overs, right? If you fumble at the other team's 2-yard line instead of scoring, and then they get the ball at the 2, and then they got to drive the whole field. This is what's hurting our overs in pro football, where these going for force are turning it over. And again, you've had 11 new coaches this year. You're going to have 11 new coaches next year because all these coaches, like the Detroit coach, right? He's gone, right? He can't win a game, and he keeps going for it on fourth, and he doesn't get it. And as soon as you don't get it, the game's over because the other team. What was I watching? I was watching one of the highlights. I don't even watch the games anymore. They're way. Oh, let's do a. There's too many breaks with the reviews, right? So let's say you're at a movies and you're watching The Godfather, or you're watching a good movie, and all of a sudden, there's a 5-minute break. I'm in the movie. What are you doing? You're in the middle of a game, and then it's an instant replay or a review, and they go away for 5 minutes. And most of these reviews are ridiculous. Why do you have the refs on the field? So if the ref's 2 feet away and he calls the guy inbounds or out of bounds, or it's a catch or it's not a catch, that's it. Why are we reviewing it? That's what the ref is there. Let him rough it. And it's in all these games, and it's all this bullshit about let's be fair, which no, that's why you have a ref. The ref makes the call, and that's the call, and that's it. And that's what you're looking at. So this is all it should be, but you keep taking these breaks. So it's very hard to watch. So I go on YouTube and I watch the highlights. And in the highlights, you see all just how pathetic a lot of these coaches are, and they'll be gone. I lost on KC game 1, had KC +3 and over 54. I need 8 lock college football picks this week. Like I said, just email me. Go to www.teaserking.com and I get 20%. So if that's what you need, we can certainly do that. I just request that you minimum pay for me is $50, after you win. And then that www.teaserking.com. It's in my profile on this site. So if you go back to YouTube and you see, there's Teaser King's things, it'll give you my website on in the structure of what I put on. Okay. And then just email me, tell me you want to do an 18 teaser, and we can do it. And then make your bet, and then send me the snapshot so I know what you got. And then 20% if we win. If we lose, I don't win anything. So my incentive is you win. Okay, that's fine. I do this with about 5 other guys, so not a problem. So anyway, that's what I'm noticing. So I'm trying to understand what's going on in the pros. I'm always dynamite in the pros, and I struggle more in college. But I figured out college now. But what I figured out for college, betting against weak defenses isn't working in the pros. So I've got to kind of adjust my pro thought process. I've been pretty good. Last week was frustrating in the sense. So let's go through the games. So you got Washington 1.5 over the Bears on Thursday, over under 39. My thought was I like the Bears as a home dog, but I can't trust, Fields. And I think he threw for 80 yards. And then over under 39, I like the under. So the under comes in. What a pathetic game, 12-7. See, there it worked. Both teams are under, and the score stayed under. Jacksonville, Indy, both teams are under teams, meaning they don't score a lot and they don't give up that much. So I assume they both have good defenses. The spread's Indy -1.5, over under of 42. My first thought is to take Indy, take the game under 48. And then my second thought is Jacksonville is a dog after I looked at it and Taylor was out. But then I go into my trends and says, well, play against Jacksonville 18-4, play against them as a road dog 16-3. So the play was Indy if I just follow the trend, but I don't just follow the trend, but I use it. And then we see that Taylor's out. So I'm going, well, what's Indy going to do? And they end up with it's 27-26 late. Indy scores the last minute of the game to win 34-27. Are you kidding me? A 61 with Indy and Jacksonville without Taylor? Now maybe because they didn't have Taylor, they threw the ball more. I don't know. Matt Ryan looked better. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence is still terrible. Again, he wants to run the ball. And that's the other adjustment. Are these running quarterbacks? Are these games over or under? I got to start charting that now. So Hurts and Lamar Jackson and this guy and half these guys, Daniel Jones of the Giants, half these quarterbacks can't throw. They run because they can't throw. So you're not really getting a complete offense or a complete team, or they can't really score in the red zone because they can't throw. So it's a very inconsistent league. Are they going to be able to run or not? And when are the defenses going to wake up and just start blitzing these quarterbacks? When they do blitz them, they sack them, but they don't blitz them enough. So that's the first problem. So I go under instead of Jacksonville because the trends really aren't Jacksonville and Taylor's out. Or the trend's really Indy. But I don't go Indy because Taylor's out, so I end up playing it under, and it goes over. Again, you're scratching your head going, what the hell's going on here? Now, does Indy and Jacksonville not really have good defenses? But Jacksonville played a 13-6 game the week ago against Houston. So you're going, which team's going to show up? Jacksonville's been an under, but now all of a sudden – against Indy, who doesn't score, all of a sudden you're giving up 34 points and you're getting 27. Where was this against Houston when you scored 6? So this is what the league is becoming. It's becoming a very strange and not conclusive league. Then we go San Francisco, Atlanta. San Francisco is the A team. They score a lot, good defense. Or Atlanta's an over team, so they score. So all of a sudden Mariota is a good quarterback. Oh, okay. He still likes to run, but he seems to be passing better. Over under a 45. Play against Atlanta as a home dog, 13-1. Play against Atlanta, 31-7. However, this year, Atlanta is now 6-0. So they've changed. So that's with Matt Ryan. And here comes the change. Here's Mariota, who really sucks. All of a sudden, it doesn't suck. Hard to understand. They got some decent receivers and backs I've never heard of. So all of a sudden they're a better team. They put up 28 on Frisco. Now 7 was a fumble. They returned for a touchdown. So you're just sitting there scratching your head going, okay, what the fuck? The Niners play under game. They killed the Rams 24-9. They give up 15 to Carolina, and now they give up 28. 21 defensively, but they only score 14. All of a sudden, Atlanta's got a defense. How many times did Frisco go for it on 4th down? Was their turnovers. So I think Garoppolo threw 2 or 3 interceptions in the game. They're tired because they stayed on the East Coast after playing Carolina. They went to Ohio instead of going back to Frisco, and they go from Ohio to Atlanta, and thinking that's going to help them. And then they get buried basically. Where is their offense? This is against Atlanta, who doesn't have a good defense. And they still don't have, they're an over defense. And this, I'm sure they're still an over team. So this, you scratch your head. I didn't go under because Atlanta's got a good offense and a terrible defense. I'm thinking the Niners are going to score and Atlanta's going to score over under 45. Now here, if I go under 51, it's a winner because they only scored 42 in the game, 28-14, because the Niners offense doesn't show up. Garoppolo has his normal, let me throw 2 or 3 interceptions, and they lose. And that's where they didn't use Deebo Samuel enough. They didn't run him enough. They did run up the middle and fumble, and Atlanta takes it in for. That's why it went 14-0. So there was just turnovers. So usually what happens is turnovers. That's why I try to bet the defense, because I know the offense, they're going to intercept and throw bad, and I know that's going to happen. So that's why I try to play defense, and yet the defense doesn't show up, and Frisco's offense doesn't show up. So, okay, now what do I got in Frisco here? This great defense holding teams to 14 points a game didn't show up today. So again, I'm confused. Then I get to Tampa Pitt. Tampa is actually an under team because the receivers keep getting injured. I got Tom Brady. At the point, it was 8.5, so I could bet it under 3 to 2.5. I kind of warned against it at 9.5, but I really liked it at 8.5. Pitt just got beat by Buffalo 100-0. Pickett, absolutely horrible, throws 3 picks. What are you going to get from Pickett? Over under of 46. I've got a Z team in Pitt because now they go to Pickett, who they're not getting points from, and their defense sucks. And here's Tom Brady, and they're an under team, and they got a good defense. So I'm betting, again, the defense of Tampa with Brady. How can they lose the game? I mean, it's unbelievable. They lose 20-18. I don't know that there was turnovers. Pitt, all of a sudden, Tampa doesn't blitz them. Right? Where's Tampa? So now I'm beginning to think Tampa's new coach sucks. I believe he was the coach of the Jets, and they sucked. So the old guy retires. Forgive me, I don't remember his name. And then the new guy comes, who was their coordinator, who basically was a head coach of the Jets and sucked. Now you got him sucking at Tampa. Their play calling, I think, is horrible. Their defense did not blitz. When you got a guy, why do you think Belichick beats the new quarterbacks? Because he blitzes them. And they're not ready for that speed yet. Did Tampa blitz Trubisky or Pickett? No. Pickett, I think, was like 11 to 12 for 50 yards. So he's throwing all these 2-yard passes, getting first downs, keeping the ball away. Where's the blitz? Where's Brady? What's he doing? Pittsburgh's blitzing him. Hello, what did you expect? I mean, they get 18 points. Now I'm wondering about the play calling. These receivers he had Evans and he had Godwin. So I don't really understand it. Fournette seemed to run. They couldn't take the lead. Pitt goes ahead and runs the second half kickoff back to the 10, and they hold them to a field goal. But where's Pittsburgh scoring? They kicked 4 field goals and finally scored at the end of the game. Now, them going for 2 makes sense. There's a minute left. Okay, that makes sense. They're down 2. But what the hell are you doing? I mean, I don't know that. I think there was a lot of sacks on Brady. You're not running enough, and you're not running screens or crossing routes. Where's the Edelman routes that he always used? This is a guy that could handle the Seattle defense, right? The Legion of Boom, he handled them. Where was that? You're telling me this Pittsburgh defense is better than that? He couldn't handle that rush, so he got sacked a lot. Where's it coming? Where was that against Buffalo? I mean, so you don't know what team you got. You got Pitt. Now, was Pitt pissed off they lost? I'm sure Tomlin was. So they played harder, but Pickett sucks. And then Trubisky, he's terrible. So, I mean, I blame Tampa for not blitzing enough. And then I blame the play calling on offense. All right, Buffalo puts up 40 on you, and here you put up 18 against Pitt with this defense. without TJ Watt. So again, I'm questioning Tampa. It was a must win, and they didn't win against Pittsburgh. Okay, this isn't Joe Green and Lambert aren't out there. This is and TJ Watt's out. So what the fuck are you doing with 18 against Pitt and giving them 20 because you're not blitzing? So now I'm questioning Tampa Bay's coach, and now I got to relax on Tampa, going, their coach sucks. New England and Cleveland, okay, you got Zappy now. Cleveland's an under team, but with Zappy, they're now becoming more of like a B team where they can score and they got the good defense. Cleveland's an over team. I like the game over 43. Finally, I hit one. This is 53. This is what it should have been. I thought Cleveland would score more, but I love Zappy, and going to Zappy is not like going to Pickett. So Zappy is a much better quarterback. If he gets away from Zappy, I think he'll be out of his mind. I don't think he'll do that because with Brady, he as soon as he went to Brady, he didn't go back to Bledsoe. I don't see him getting away from Zappy. And Zappy's, come on. At Western, this is what my problem is. At Western Kentucky, he throws like 60 touchdown passes and 3 picks. And you're not drafting this guy till the 5th round, and you're drafting Pickett, and Pickett maybe, but you're drafting Malik Willis, who threw like 10 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, and they lost like 5 games to weak teams ahead of Zappy. I mean, it's very clear if you watch your college and you just look at the numbers, it tells you who to pick, except for Alabama and Ohio State, because those numbers aren't real. That's the system. But here, this is the joke. So Zappy, I'm just going to ride Zappy. They were a live dog, but I didn't trust him yet. But play against Cleveland, 19-3, down 20-3. So the correct play was New England as a dog or the over, because Cleveland's an over team. Chubb's going to get his yards, but the defense sucks, and that's exactly what happened. So the over was good. Over 37. I mean, the New England got the over by themselves. Minnesota, Miami. Thompson doesn't play because Bridgewater's ready, so Bridgewater plays. Minnie actually wins. Cousin actually, I don't know how many turnovers he had in the game. They actually win 24-16. The play here was take Miami as the home dog. They were 9-1, but without a quarterback, how can you do it? If Tagliabue plays and they're getting 9, yes, but not with if I thought it was Thompson. Bridgewater comes in late. So the play really, Miami did cover. They lost by 8. You got 9.5. So this is the type of game. Cousins kind of shows up and they win 24-16. Over under a 45. I had it under because of the quarterback, and it's 40. So it did. This is a game you just make a teaser. You win with Minnie, you win with Miami, you win over, you win under. And you get a lot of these type of games. Just play the freaking teaser. So that one was, according to Hoyle, the Jets in Green Bay. Green Bay after a loss to the Giants, but in London. So now they got to fly back from London. Lane 7.5 to the Jets. Who are the Jets? We're still figuring that out, but they are not a Z team anymore. They're an even. They score in the 20s, and their defense is an over. And Green Bay's an under team, so they're not really scoring a lot, but their defense is pretty good. Although questioning, the Giants got 27 on them. Now the Jets get 27 on them. Again, that's skewed because they beat the Bears 27-6. Well, not really skewed. And then they handled Tampa, but now it looks like Tampa really doesn't have an offense, so it's really not as impressive 14-12 to Tampa as this is. So Tampa's really looking like much weaker. So that's what we're finding out. So when you play them and you shut them out, it really isn't as impressive because their coach sucks. So here I take Green Bay after the loss, -1, because I don't know who the Jets are. I think the Jets are this weak team with an over defense. I think Rodgers is gonna, not have a problem with it. The only problem is the Jets aren't that team. The Jets are like a B team now. They're a very strong team. They put pressure on Rodgers the whole game. Their offense is running and throwing, and they look like if you took away the Jets, You'd say the Seattle with Russell Wilson, good defense. The quarterback hits the receivers. They can run the ball. This is a very good team. So the Jets getting 7 would have been a lock in 3 weeks. If I see the Jets getting 7, I'm gonna now. This will be interesting when they play Buffalo, when they play New England. They're going to be live dogs in those games. So again, 27-10, they kill. Now, what happened in the game? First of all, there was 2 block punts, 1 return for a touchdown. The other set up the Jets at the 10-yard line. So that's 14 of the 27 were not drives; they were gifts. Now, how does Green Bay get 2 punts blocked? This reminds you of the Seattle game when the guy got the punt blocked. When Green Bay had that 14-0 lead in the playoff game 5 years ago. And then Seattle scored at the end and scored in overtime and got the win. Russell Wilson special. And they fired the special teams coach, Green Bay, after the game. And then McCarthy got fired. Here we go again. So again, Green Bay can't. 2 punts get blocked. How the fuck does 2 punts get blocked in a pro game? So 27-10, Rodgers shows up and gets blitzed and gets sacked a lot. And remember, the Green Bay coach is the old Niner defensive coordinator, so he's coaching good defensive. So now you got the Jets with a fairly good defense, and with Zach Wilson back, offense actually looks like a pro offense, not like the Jets offense. So for the first time, the Jets kind of have a good offense and a very strong defense that blitzes a lot, which I love. They kill Green Bay. So what do we learn? We learned the Jets are a whole lot better than we think they are. And we learned Green Bay. I don't know what we learned with Green Bay. Yesterday it was brought up about Rodgers looking bad. It's not Rodgers. He's getting blitzed. He's getting sacked. He goes back to pass. He's sacked. It's not Rodgers. The offensive line just blows. Again, it's coaching, play calling, too much running, not enough of using Rodgers. Their defense, average, not, again, you could have drafted more Georgia defensive talent, and then you're going to cry about having no defense. Look at Philadelphia. What did Philadelphia do? They drafted 2 Georgia defenses, 2 defensive players. And now where's Philadelphia? Undefeated with a great defense because they got 2 Georgia defensive players. It's not hard. If you see a team that gives up 5 points a game in college for the whole fucking year and beats Alabama, maybe their defensive players are pretty fucking good and I should probably draft them. I don't know, just me. I mean, I know I'm being logical, but look where Philadelphia is drafting 2. So, that's all I can say is, man, this year, who's the hot defensive teams? Again, it's Georgia. Clemson's got a bunch. I don't know. My unders. Illinois, actually. We'll see. I'm trying to think. Iowa. There's an All-American linebacker at Iowa. I'd scoop him up. I need defense. I'm scooping him up. I mean, there's a reason Iowa shuts everybody out. Iowa State. They just don't have an offense, but you're not scoring on their defense. We'll talk about Ohio State, Iowa in a minute. So, again, this was a bad play because the Jets are unknown. Now, this is week 6, and they're unknown because you get fucked the first 2 weeks because of no preseason. So week 1 doesn't mean anything. Week 2 really doesn't mean anything. So now you got to look at 3, 4, and 5 to figure out what's going on. Now, with week 6, now I got a better picture. I can adjust for Atlanta. I can adjust for the Jets. I can adjust now for New England with Zappe. Tampa, I can adjust and say and the clue with Tampa, they play Green Bay, who really isn't that good either. Then they play KC, and KC lights them up 41-31. But when they needed to win against Atlanta, and it's 21-0, and they win 21-15, like they didn't keep going, that's when you start, well, wait a minute, that should have been a blowout. Okay, we won. It was backs against the wall. But this was backs against the wall against the Z team in Pitt, and they don't win. That's when you start – the lights need to go on then and going, wait a minute, this team is not Tampa Bay. This is not Rodgers. I don't think it's the divorce, but I think, or Brady, he wanted to retire, and he comes back. That's telling you something there. Why would he want to retire? And so you've got to figure he might not want, is he into it? He looks fine. I'm not blaming Brady for this. Part of the offense, part of the offensive coordinator, a lot of the defense not blitzing, I find. They still have a great defense, and yet this should have been they should have shut out Pitt 24-0. That's what my thought on the game was, that Pitt's not going to score with freaking Pickett. And they had, I think they had 13 with Pickett, or 12, and then Pitt, and then Mitch Trubisky's lighting them up. Really? Come on, man. You played in Super Bowls and Mitch Trubisky's lighting you up? Only Vanilla. The sad part is that they got 40 points, but Zach Wilson only had 110 yards. Well, like I said, there was 2 blocked punts, right? No, it was 27-10 Jets. But yeah, I mean, but he got, or are you talking that other game where they think they scored against Miami? Yeah, well, they're obviously, I think the defense is very aggressive with the 49er defensive coordinator. And again, they got 2 blocked punts, right? 1 for a touchdown. So he doesn't need to throw it as much, but they have running. So that's why their stats don't look great. But, where do you put the 2 block punts, right? It just goes in the points for, but that's it. So are you going to count on that? Oh, well, we're going to bet the Jets because we know they're going to get a block punt for a touchdown. We don't know that, but yes, but that does go into the points. But watching them, the defense is much better. It's not an over defense except for the points allowed. And I'm probably 1 or 2 games where they let up a lot of points is skewing. But as we get deeper into the season, that'll fade away. But I won't leave them as an over. I'll make a mental note. Wait a minute. This defense is much better. So let's see where the fuck. Let's go through the JETS. So week 1, probably week 1. Yeah, Baltimore beats them 24-9. And then Cleveland 31-30. They beat Cleveland. And then Cincinnati beats them 27-12. And then they put up, so they're giving up 30 a game. That's why they're an over. So since he beats them 27-12, where are they? Baltimore beats them 24. So they're giving up over 20 a game. They get to Green Bay, and Green Bay gets 12 on them. And you're like going, okay, what am I missing? Green Bay gets 10. Cincy gets 27. Baltimore gets 24. All these teams, and they haven't even played Buffalo yet. So, or New England, which apparently now you don't want to play New England. You wanted to play them against Jones, but not against Zappe. So that's what's happening. So is their defense that good, or what? Oh, it was the Miami week. Yeah, week 5. Yeah, 40-17 over Miami. That's probably the game you're talking about. But yeah, so there they hold them to 7, but that was without Tagliabue, who was playing. They were scoring a lot with the additions of whatchamacallit, Hill. So yeah, they were playing good, and I'll be shocked if Tagliabue is back this year. I'm telling you, it's his neck, and I'm telling you that guy got just crushed. It was like whiplash times 10. So I'll be surprised if he's back this year. So you got Bridgewater, who I don't mind him, but he's not that good. So again, so what's happening with Green Bay? Where's their offense? And so Green Bay and Tampa Bay, like, what the fuck's going on? And then you got the Jets and the Giants and some other teams and Atlanta going, what's going on? So there's changes being made. Mariota's not a good quarterback, and he's lighting it up. So now you're going, what the hell's going on there? So there's a lot. This is the problem. I like the consistency. I got 11 new coaches. I got idiots going for 4th down like it's 1st and 10. Like, no problem. We got the matchups. Bullshit. If you had the matchups, do it on 3rd and 5. Don't do it on 4th and 5. Matchups, my ass. These are idiot coaches. All right, Baltimore, 5.5 over the Giants. I told you to take the Giants. That was a winner. I guess they scored late to win. Again, Lamar turns it over. He threw a late interception over the middle. This is the problem with Lamar. His weakness is throwing the ball, basically, and reading coverages. He's good at running, but you don't win with running. So 24-20, the Giants somehow win without a quarterback. Play against Baltimore, 18-4. So the trends work. The Giants home dog. Baltimore is an over team, so they score a lot, and their defense isn't that good. And the Giants are starting to score more with apparently a good defense with an under. They're probably an average team once you they're probably everybody's in the 20s, right? They score in the 20s, give up, you would think. Except for when we bet over, where all we need is 39, and then we can't seem to get it, which really blows my mind. But the Giants home dog wins. Are they that good? I don't know. I mean, all they want to do is the quarterback runs. You can't throw Jones. Couple of passes. And, it's just like the other teams. It's the Kyler Murray. It's the Hurts. It's the Lamar Jackson. My quarterback's going to run because he can't pass. This quarterback can't pass to save his life. So again, what do? You got, so he's running. So now how do we bet the Mariotas and all this with these running quarterbacks? Is it something? Can we bet on that? Should we bet on that? I don't know. That's what I'm really trying to dig into. What the fuck's going on in this game where the quarterback goes back to pass? See, now what's happening is if I'm the defensive coordinator and I got Jones or I got Kyler Murray or I got half of these idiots, I'm blitzing them, Josh Allen, because they can't read the blitz and then they can't run on you. If I go in there and I put two safeties and blitz them, what do you think he's going to have? You think he's going to run on me? No, he's not. He has no chance of running on me. So, but they're not doing that. They're playing their little prevent because the analytics say, let them drive down the field and they'll go for it on fourth down. I mean, this is the problem. Again, you have bad coaches, you have bad coordinators who don't understand the game, that it's hard to bet on idiots, right? It's really hard to bet on idiots. So we got quarterbacks that can't throw. We got defensive coordinators that don't blitz when it's so obvious. If Buddy Ryan was coaching, man, we'd be betting Buddy Ryan. He'd be sending the kitchen sink after him, the 84 Bears. And, these quarterbacks would have no chance against the 84 Bears or the 72 Steelers. Joe Green, Ham, Lambert, they'd be in the backfield. That's what you do. You play aggressive defensively and make them beat you, but they're not doing. How are they letting Daniel Jones run on what the fuck is that? He can't throw, just pressure him. No, we'll put in 3 and then watch him run for 20 yards. This is the base philosophy problem with these defensive coordinators now. They're freaking idiots. So I guess we have to find the teams that do that. And when they play these running quarterbacks, bet on the running quarterbacks. Apparently Frisco does that. And apparently the other opponents of Atlanta, what did Atlanta do against Tampa? Well, Tampa did. They must have put pressure on them. Let's go back a week. So let's go to week 4, Atlanta against Cleveland. They beat Cleveland 23-20. So again, they're scoring in the 20s. So maybe they're an over team. Maybe these running quarterbacks give you an over. Atlanta looks like they're over a lot. The Giants have been scoring with this Daniel Jones running. I don't know. But they're not quarterback. They can't throw the ball. So it's a little gimmick that's working, but it's fucking it up. And then the coaches, so you drive down to the 5, kick your field goal, but no, we're going to go for it on fourth down and get nothing, which fucks the over up. And or let's go for it at the 45-yard, our own 40. Let's go for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. Oops, we don't get it. And then you lose the game. So now we got to analyze teams that go for it on fourth down and make those under games, because if you don't make it at the 5, Buffalo and Kansas City 3 times, then the game that should go over goes under, because we have to go for it on 4th and 5 because, I don't know, because the analytics say so. I mean, it's such bullshit, but You don't really have it in college. That's not killing us. You get a little bit in college, but not too much. But they keep pushing it like the announcers. Oh, yes, that's smart. Going for, yeah, I got to go for the win. Troy Aikman, what an idiot he is. Yeah, they need that's aggressive. That's good. And then they don't make it. And he shuts up. Come on, Troy. You played for Jimmy. You would never have gone for it 4th and 3 at your own 40. Who the fuck are you kidding? If you did, you would have been gone. You'd have been benched, and Jimmy would have been fired for going for 4th and 3 at his own 40. Okay, so come on, we're not stupid, Troy. That's why it's hard to listen to the game. You got to listen to these idiots and Chris Collinsworth and Romo. Oh yeah, let's go smart. Yeah, go for 2. Yeah, Jesus Christ. So they're trying to get you to accept this 4th down bullshit for some reason. It must be a betting angle that they're trying to manipulate the game by, hey, you know, we got to make sure the game stays under. Go for it on 4th and 2. Don't make it, and then keep the game under, because it's an under when they don't make it, unless it's their own 40 and they don't make it, and then the other team gets the ball, then they lose. Like the Lions in New England, when the guy, it's 4th and 5 from the 40, they go for it, the guy gets strip sacked, and New England scores a touchdown on it. I think the game's over at that point, right? So how do you not go for field goals? It blows my mind. All right, Cincinnati and New Orleans. Cincy's kind of an under team. They don't really score that much, but they have a good defense, and New Orleans is more of an over team, and that's what happened. Dalton's fine, and Taysom Hill's fine. He gets you points. 30-26. Good comeback by Cincy. They were down like 20-12 or something like that. But you got Joe Burrow and you got Chase. Chase scores on a 60-yarder, hugging the sidelines to win the game, 30-26. I think even then they go for 2. I mean, there was like a real weird. You're up 6, go for 2, or you're down 14. I don't know what game it was. They're down 14. They score a touchdown and they go for 2 instead of getting down 7. And then you score and you tie the game. You go for 2. And if you miss it, you're down 8. And now you got to go for 2 and make it on that. It's insane. Which game was it? I think the Minnesota-Miami game. It was 24-10, and then they score. They go for 2, and they don't get it. Now they have. If they do score again, they need the 2 to tie. Just kick your extra point. What is that? And then I notice they do that all the time, where they don't just kick the extra point, and it's really fucking the lineup, because you got 7.5, 14. They score. Okay, it'll be 7. I got a winner. Oh no, they're going for 2 for no reason. They don't get it. Now we're down 8, and now we're fucked. So I think it's partly the gambling has influenced the coaches to not do what they should be doing. Nothing else makes sense. Why would you not go down 7? Then you score and you kick the extra point, and it's a tie game, and then we go to overtime, or it's not a loss. No, we'll go for 2 down 14. What? That's like the other game, the Kansas City game, when they go up 7 and go for 2 instead of kicking the extra point to lock in the 8. I mean, it's like these games are all blatantly, obviously fixed. It's really making me throw up how stupid the coaches are, because I understand it all and it doesn't make any sense. You don't go 4th and 5 at your own 30. You don't go for 2 down when you're down 8. You just scored. Now you can be down 7 game, as they have done 3 times already this season. Absolutely. Well, I just keeping against Baltimore, basically. Who do they got this week? Baltimore's at home against Cleveland. Why are they 6-point favorites? Are we not watching the same game? Cleveland's a good team, getting 12, really? I think, and I've said this a lot, I don't think there's any team that you can bet on as the favorite. Green Bay laying 7. No, you can't. Tampa, no. So I think you almost have to take the dog in 99% of these games. Maybe Buffalo at home, maybe. I don't love Buffalo, but that could be it. Kansas City clearly has an explosive offense sometimes. Apparently not a defense, and apparently, who are you going to go to? I mean, San Diego, Denver. I mean, again, there is no team that I'm laying 7. I'm going to lay 1, and they're going to win. There's no team. There's no good team in football. Maybe, like I said, Buffalo might be the best. That's it. I got nobody. Green Bay, no. Philly, maybe Philly. Okay, Dallas, but okay, let's maybe go to Philly. You can't Cincy, you can't Miami, you can't, maybe Buffalo and Philly. Maybe. I don't even think so, but okay. But it's basically any game, just take the dog. And then maybe you go over or under, but then you still got to worry if you're going over that they're going to go for it on 4th and goal at the 3, and then, of course, not make it and not kick the points. Unbelievable. Just pure idiotics. Okay, so Cincinnati gets the win. Lane 3, I had a -1. That's why you bet it early. So I have Cincy +5. And then even if they don't score at the end, it's 26-23. I know they're not going to lose by a lot. So that's Cincy there. New Orleans is a good over team. They score even, as long as Kamara's playing, they seem to play well. Dalton doesn't really kill you, and Taysom Hill comes in and gets you some touchdowns. So they're a good over team. The defense isn't there, but Cincy seems to be, okay, we can bet Joe Burrow. The Rams in Carolina. The Rams are laying 10, which I disagreed with. I said Carolina 14-1 0 dog. Carolina actually covers here, 24-10. You got 16, 26-24, Carolina with the 16. The Rams only 24 on this team. They're still pathetic. Carolina gets the 10 because they have PJ, whatever. Can never remember his last name, the guy from Temple. But the Rams looked a little better after 2 losses. So, okay, they got the win. Hey, Sean, do you think the players and or coaches are secretly betting the games, like indirectly through someone else giving information? 100%, Sean. Think about it. You never had gambling involved with sports. And what did Paul Hornung and Alex Karras in 1962 got thrown out of the league for a year or 2 for gambling on football? Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame for betting on his team. So he's not in any way fixing it. He's saying, we're better than them. I'm gonna bet on Cincinnati. He gets thrown out. He can't get in the Hall of Fame. So when you allow all this betting, now they're in bed with DraftKings and BetMGM and all these things. Of course they're involved. Of course they're calling their bookies or something. It's 100% absolutely, Sean. And that's why I'm struggling here, because my logic dictates Buffalo KC's an over, and they didn't get it because on 3 times inside the 10, they go for it on 4th down and don't make it to keep the score low. You think that's a coincidence? Really? The coach isn't kicking field goals? All I need is 1 field goal. We win out of 3 inside the 10, which makes the game go under. Believe me, they know everybody's bet the game over. The over went from 53 to 54, and they know it's going. Look at that Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, when Pittsburgh at the end of the game does the lateral trick that never works. It ends up in the end zone. All the pit guys move away. Cleveland recovers for a touchdown. It fucks the under, because now that makes it go over, and and everybody was on the under in that game. So 100%. Now, I haven't seen any other team do this stupid lateral again, right? Pitt did it to make the game go over, and then you don't see it again until they need it to get it over. That's the only time they'll do it, is it's fixed. So when you see that play, it's fixed. And they're not going to recover, and the other team's going to get it. That's on purpose. That's kind of a way to go, oh, well, we tried it. It never works, but we tried it anyway. Instead of throwing a 50-yard pass and hoping for the interference that's called every play, which would have been a much smarter play, because what are we going to do when we lateral it? Like, the only reason it worked in college, because it was a kickoff and you didn't have linemen on the field. You had 10 option quarterbacks on Cal at the time, so they could option it, and that was okay. But in a regular game, you've got 5 offensive linemen. They can't, not only do they not understand the option, and the guy comes at me, I let it go. They don't have the hands. They don't have the coordination to get it and pitch it back. And I mean, the whole thing's like a joke in the pros. You should never do it. Just throw it long and hope you get it. But but if you watch the Pittsburgh players on the play, they get out of the way. The lineman gets it, throws it in the end zone, and everybody gets out of the way so Cleveland can recover. Like, excuse me? So it was almost, you can see it's planned. So that's what you got to. So college is working wonderful, though. I don't think you have the same fix in college as you're doing in the pro. Like Utah came back beautifully and Rising scores on the 2. So that wasn't fixed. But I think in the pros, I think it's all about money. Keep in mind, when a country is going out, as the U.S. is, so I'm telling you to buy gold and silver, get your money out of the bank, gambling increases. They're trying to make everybody go broke. They want you to gamble and lose your money. That's what they're trying to do. This incredibly stupid government that's probably run by the Chinese, I assume. So they increase gambling. Gambling's a tax. Most people lose. So they want you to gamble. All of a sudden, there's DraftKings and BetMGM's got a radio show telling about betting. You see the line underneath. Oh, yeah, Buffalo's -3 to Kansas City. You never see the line. Jimmy the Greek got fired. He used to be on, and he could never say the line. He would just say, I think Frisco wins by a little. He could never say, yeah, the spread's 7-48. I like, they're going to win by more than 7 and go over in the game. He would have got fired for doing that. They wouldn't have let him done it. All he could do, he would give out little signals and say, yeah, Philly and New Orleans today, Philly wins by a little. And so if the spread was 10, you knew to take the 10 or it would be an upset. And he would tell you, and Jimmy the Greek was very good at it, but they could never say the spread. So all of a sudden, what the fuck are you guys doing? How clean can the game possibly be when you're introducing and I think Jerry Jones, the Dallas owner, owns like DraftKings or something. Anyway, it's very dangerous what they're doing, and it's very corrupt, as we know, which is causing all these really inconsistent movements. Like, how do you track a team? How could Jacksonville score 6 against Houston and then a 61 with Indy? Like that makes no sense. Sean, I remember a game in a blizzard in Baltimore maybe 8 years ago. All the money was on the under, and like 5 touchdowns or so were scored in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Thanks for the info. You're welcome, Sean. I don't remember that game. I do remember Detroit-Philly playing a snowstorm where you couldn't kick the extra point. Maybe that's what you're talking about. And that game was a very high-scoring game, but nobody could kick an extra point, so everything was go for 2. But that's the only one I remember. And then of course, that New England game against, I think it was Miami, when the snowplow came out, and so the guy could kick the field goal, but that's not what we're talking about. So the Rams 24-10. Carolina sucks, we think. They got killed by Frisco. Now they get killed by the Rams. We'll see when they play Tampa, really how bad Tampa is. Now, again, Mayfield's out. He's out for a month. PJ, whatever, is their quarterback from Temple. Arizona, Seattle. Why was Arizona favorite? Didn't make any sense. I thought Seattle should have been a 3-point favorite. It's an easy home dog. Take Seattle in the 8.5. They win 19-9. Also, like the over in the game, is neither team has a defense, and yet the score is 19-9. Another very curious score here. Arizona with Kyler Murray against the Seattle defense gets 9 points. Does that make any sense to anybody? Doesn't make any sense to me. Seattle getting 19 doesn't make any sense. They just played an 80-point game with New Orleans. So New Orleans looks like they're playing over games, but here Arizona, Seattle, which should be an easy over, and Arizona gets 9 points. I mean, that's very, very curious here. And that's where I get at the running quarterbacks. Here's Kyler Murray running around. Nobody can stop him, and he only gets 9 points. And Lamar Jackson, Jones from the Giants, oh, yeah, they get 24. But it was an interception late. It wasn't had anything to do. So these running quarterbacks, aren't really getting point. They run and they look, oh, he gained 20 yards, but they're not scoring. Mariota a little bit. Pitt had Trubisky running, for Christ's sake. Zappy doesn't run, and Brissett doesn't run, and Kirk Cousins doesn't run, and Zach Wilson runs a little. We know Rodgers doesn't run. We know Burrow doesn't run. New Orleans, Dalton's not going to run, but if Taysom Hill comes in, he comes in to run, so we know he's running. Stafford doesn't run. Keenan Allen run, or whatever, Josh Allen, he does run way too much. Mahomes doesn't run, and Rush doesn't run, and then Murray Jalen Hurts does run. And then Denver, San Diego, neither of them really run. Russell Wilson or the other. But Neil, I think Zappy is better than Mac Jones. I think Zappy's better than Aaron Rodgers right now. That's what I'm saying. If New England, when they drafted him, I said he was better. If you listen to my draft tapes, I say he's better. He's the best quarterback drafted. And they didn't get him in the 5th round. And Tennessee gets Malik Willis. You're like, that guy will never see the field. Like, what do they do? That guy isn't even close to Zappy. And again, if you watch the bowl game, I was red hot in the bowl game. I think it was 24-2 in the bowl season and had 8 locks that won and would have had 10, but Miami and Wake both got canceled or something. And those were over locks. So anyway, in the beginning, we bet on Western Kentucky because of Zappy. And I remember one of my family members goes, God, look at the Zappy guy. He's great. Look at him. He throws darts. Well, right there, that's why you play in the bowl and don't sit out, Pickett. See, that's where I get a problem with Pickett sitting out the bowl because he's not good and he's going to look bad. And that's the real reason. Yeah, he doesn't want to get hurt. That's bullshit. He knew Michigan State had a good defense and he was going to look bad. So he doesn't play, so he doesn't look bad. And then they draft him in the 1st round. And now you see he sucks. Zappy plays because he says, I'm good. Look at me. And he lights it up and throws darts. And he probably throws for 5 touchdowns. They get 50 points. They win. And then he still doesn't go in the 5th round. And they'll use, well, he's too small or arm strength, whatever bullshit. Well, he was tall enough in college and he threw for over 50 touchdowns. So his arm strength's fine. So I agree with you. Zappy is a very strong quarterback, but that's what we want. And we're going to bet on him. So Arizona, Seattle makes no sense. Seattle is a good home dog, as we said. And then do you go over or under? I went over. So Seattle is a home dog's good. The over, where's that? I mean, again, it was just what the fuck do you get 28 points with this game? Are you insane? Unbelievable. Buffalo, KC again. Buffalo laying 3. They're the A team. KC's the over team. Buffalo has a good defense, but hasn't really played anybody. Tennessee, they blow out Pitt, they blow out Tennessee, and they blew out the Rams. 2 of them aren't good, and then they lose at Miami and should have lost at Baltimore. So you're really questioning against the good team, and Miami and Baltimore aren't great, but against the good teams, they don't show up. Here they're at KC. So KC, a live home dog, covers. And again, we go over 47. It's 44. 3 times in the red. They don't kick a field goal. So this should have been an easy over. But again, this is where Sean's saying, hey, is it fixed? Well, you tell me. 3 times in the red zone and they're not kicking a field goal in a 24-20 game. Doesn't make sense. Dallas, Philly. Philly's strong under team, great defense. Philly, we don't know about. We're still trying to figure out. They're beating Washington. They're beating, shit teams. So they finally play a good team in Dallas, 26-17. Cooper Rush throws 3 interceptions. What the fuck's he doing? He doesn't throw interceptions. I call that bad play calling. I mean, the game was in the 2nd quarter. He's throwing interceptions around like it was at the end of the game, and he had to throw. I mean, this was terrible. 26-17, under wins. That was a lock. 40 under 49. It ends 43. Philly and 12.5, or Dallas and 12.5 is good as a dog. So that all worked. That was pretty much a normal game. So Philly's pretty strong. Dallas, very strong defensively. Thought it'd be lower scoring because both teams have good defenses, but Cooper Rush starts falling apart for some reason, which is uncharacteristic. Denver, San Diego, didn't watch the second of the game. 19-16 Denver. Play against Denver, 32-6 is all you need to know. Or against San Diego. Denver, 11-2 is a road dog. Play against San Diego, 19-2 is a home favorite. Overall, 32-6. So you just bet against San Diego, and they win by 3. I haven't even seen the film yet, but I knew that was going to happen, right? So overall, fairly good. My problem was taking Frisco instead of the under, which, okay. Tampa Bay, assuming they were going to win against the worst team in the league, and now we realize their coach is terrible. Cleveland over, yes. Miami, yes. Green Bay we overvalue because the Jets actually look like a good team, but they blocked 2 punts. That's 14 points, so now it's 13-10. Green Bay can probably win 17-13 if it's 13-10. But when you're down 24-10, you can't run anymore. Now they're going to come after you and you're going to throw, and it's a whole different game if you're down. So 2 block punts kill you there. Baltimore Giants we pick. Cincinnati we pick. The Rams, Seattle is a home dog, but we think it's an over. So again, in college, that's an over and it wins. But in the pros, we're getting a little bit too much with the over-unders. Now, both teams are over defenses, yet it's a 19-9 game. Okay, there's a problem. Wait a minute. What's going on with the stats? What's going on with the stats where we think Seattle and Arizona give up to be an over in the NFL? You're giving up over 25 points a game. How do you get a 19-9 with Murray and Jones? And Seattle put up 40 points on New Orleans last week. So how does this game with 2 weak defenses go 19-9? In college, very rarely UCLA or USC and Utah, boom. Oak State, TCU, boom. Washington, Arizona, boom. None of those games are 19-9. So again, I'm maybe verify a little bit more. Again, maybe not look at weeks 1 and 2 and reevaluate my over-unders and maybe just look at the last 3 games and come up with 3 game stats going, okay, forget weeks 1 and 2. They're skewing me. But I looked at Seattle, New Orleans was a 60-point game. So it's not like that was the week prior. And Arizona had played Philadelphia 20-17. So they gave up 20 to Philly. It's not like their defense was super. So we got to look a little bit more into that. Buffalo, KC, tease the dogs. Should have went over. It's got to be an over game. How does it go 24-20? But I think that was played well. Dallas, Philly under. Okay, that worked out. Philly looks like a very strong team, maybe. But again, they got 3 interceptions from Cooper Rush, so we've got to see. And then Denver, San Diego, it is what it is. Denver. Now, I was listening to the radio, and they were talking. It was Kurt Warner, and he's talking about Russell. Well, he's talking about himself going. It wasn't easy going from St. Louis to the Giants because it's a whole different system, and the receivers you think are going to be there aren't. They run the same route or a similar route, but he said. Isaac Bruce would have run it this way, but when I get to the Giants, their receivers don't run the same route the same way. So it takes you a while to get used to the receivers, which is what I was trying to tell you. So you get all these new coaches in and the new quarterbacks, you're fucked for a year figuring out everything is. There's way too many coaching changes. So again, they bring in a new offensive coordinator. The offense changes. Too much movement, and that's the problem, right? So you get all this movement, and so Russell Wilson, he's not bad. He's got to get used to it. Aaron Rodgers, when he loses Devontae Adams, thinks Lazard's going to do something, and then he doesn't do it. And then, Rodgers stinks. No, he expected the receiver to cut the route off, boom and boom, and he's rounding it. So the ball is where it should be. The ball is here, but the receiver's up here because he's not running the route the way Devontae Adams ran it. And that's really the problem. Like, let's bet Russell Wilson or that. Now, San Diego shouldn't be there because Keenan Allen and Herbert, but Keenan Allen's been hurt. So, again, Mahomes, he lost Hill, so he's got to get used to Smith-Schuster and those. Buffalo's pretty much the same. So, again, you got to be careful with these new quarterbacks, with the new receivers, and understand they got to get used to the timing and the receiver. So when you lose that, now Miami, they've caught on quick. Well, they had Waddle, but now they're okay with Tyreek Hill. They were able to adjust to him better than if they brought in a new quarterback, right? So most of the time it's going to be tough. So that was last week's mess, and very disappointing. The best play, Dallas, Philly under one, but then the Tampa Bay and the Frisco games, I don't know what the fuck happened there. Those are surprises that happen. Where am I at? The Niners, I bet the defense. Tampa, I bet Tom Brady, after a loss against the worst team in the league, Pittsburgh, they fucking lose? Like, seriously? So let's start taking a look at week 7. And to do that, we're going to go into the stats. So let's go into the stats. So if you leave a message, I'll be with you in about 5 minutes because we're looking at our stats right now. All right. So if I look at offensively, I haven't done my sort yet. Let me do my sort. So what I do is I bring in the stats of the week, which I just did, and then I sort them. And we're going to sort it by offense first. I do offense and defense. So let's see. Okay. So when we look at it, let's see what's really happening. So we see KC's a 30, Buffalo's a 29, which is why we thought that game would go over. Detroit has dropped from 35 to 28 after getting shut out. So you can see how much it moves on a shutout after only 5 or 6 games. Philly's a 27, Baltimore, as we thought, Oakland 25, Cleveland 25, Seattle, Atlanta, the Jets, the San Diego, New Orleans, and New England are 24s. So this is where we start figuring out the teams. The weakest teams, the under 20s, so these are 19 all the way down to 15, is Tennessee, Arizona at 19. So wait a minute, we thought they're a strong offensive team. No, they only get 19. Dallas at 18 makes them a beautiful under. But Green Bay's only got 18 with Aaron Rodgers. The Rams only with 17. Carolina 17. Houston, Indy, Washington 17. Pitt only 16. Chicago 16. And Denver 15. So what we're looking at are teams that just don't have a good offense. And then you see the teams with the good offense and the teams without. Now, here's where we're getting a little skewed. We're assuming these, but then all of a sudden Arizona's down to 19. Wait a minute. They were higher. Now they're 19. Now they're not they got a weak offense. We look at it. Kyler Murray, they get 246. They run for 119. They only get 365 yards of offense, which when compared to the big boys, Buffalo 450, 424 for Detroit, 408 for Philly. That's it. There's only 3 teams with 400 yards of offense. This is another problem with the league. KC's 396, so we'll call them. You got Oakland at 378, Baltimore at 370, Cleveland with 390, and Seattle with 375. So it shows you. And then San Diego's 380. Okay. New Orleans 400, Zappy 368 now. Jacksonville 370. You get to Aaron Rodgers. Let's look at Aaron Rodgers. They throw for 275. They're only rushing for 68 yards, 343. This is the problem with Tampa. They don't run the ball with Fournette. He's throwing for 275, which is fine. They got 68 yards rushing. Then we go down to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers throws for 246, and they're running for 122. So this is mystifying 368, and they're getting 18 points a game. This makes zero sense. Like, what the fuck's going on there? That's play calling, because he's certainly putting up yards. If you compare it to the Rams, Stafford 265, but they run for 71. That's your difference. Then you get the Bears throw for 145 and run for 171 because Fields doesn't realize he's supposed to throw as a quarterback and runs a lot. That's ridiculous. Again, so let's look at the big running teams. You got Jalen Hurts, 156. You got Lamar Jackson, 156. You got Cleveland, 172. That's actually Chubb. You got Atlanta Mariota, 165. That's him running. You got Dalton. It's all New Orleans is all Kamara, so that's different. And New England's not their quarterback. Jacksonville, Lawrence, 137 is mostly running. 163 with the Giants. That's Barkley and Jones running, and they only throw for 172. And then we get down to Chicago, 171, which is all Fields running, and Montgomery. So we're going to dive into this analysis and try to figure it out, because this shows you the running quarterbacks. So the top team, Kansas City, their quarterback doesn't run. They only run for 107. They have the best. They're not the top team with the best. So let's say Buffalo's the best team. They throw for 331 and run for 118. So they're mostly a passing team. Of these running quarterbacks, Philly is very good, 156. Over here. Then you got Baltimore, 156. Well, they're not that good. And their defense gives up 24. Then we get to 172, Cleveland. Well, that's different. That's actually the running back. Then we get to 165, Atlanta with Mariota, but he only throws for 176. So it's primarily a running team. So we need to find good run defenses, and then we won't see this being effective. New Orleans, that's Kamara. New England, that's Stevenson. And then we get to Jacksonville. They're not bad. They throw for 230, run for 137. A lot of it is Lawrence. But again, we're 6 points against Houston. Is Houston? Let's look at Houston. So Houston with Bills throws for 210, runs for 99. They get 300 yards. They give up 20 points a game. They're not. How did they hold Jacksonville to 6? This is the mystery of the numbers, right? Houston scores 17, gives up 20, but yet here's Jacksonville. They throw for 233, run for 137. They're very balanced, 370 yards, and they don't get a touchdown against the team that gives up 20. This is what's screwing with my mind. What the fuck? Is Jacksonville a good team, a bad team? What are they? They score 23, give up 19. So I got to take the names off. I got to forget the team names and look at the stats and try to figure out what's going on. In other words, Best team, what? Buffalo, Philly. So let's look at those two. Buffalo, 29 points a game, give up 14. They're more of a passing team. They throw for 331 and 118. So they're actually, and they get 450 yards offense. So their best offense, they only give up 14. And then we go to Philadelphia. They score 27, give up 18. And Hurst, and they throw for 250 and they run for 156. A lot of it hurts running. So one team, so the quarterbacks kind of run for Buffalo, and then definitely they run with Hurst, although they do have running backs. And he's hitting Smith a lot because he thinks he's back at Alabama playing, I think he's playing Kentucky or something. So that's what you have with Philly. So 400. So the teams with good yards are the best two teams, Buffalo, Philly, Kansas City. I don't know what Detroit's doing up there, but Detroit scores 28 but gives up 34. And then we have Baltimore, who scores 26, gives up 24. And Oakland scores 25 but gives up 26. And Cleveland scores 25. So there's no Ryan. Here's Seattle, 24-27, and yet they win 19-9. Like, where's that coming from? So we're not getting the consistency in the numbers. So that's what I need to work on. And then let's get down to the quarterbacks. All right, so here's my favorite. Josh Allen, 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Pat Mahomes, 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Then we go to Brady. Now this doesn't make sense. 8 touchdowns and 1 pick. And then we go to Joe Burrow, 12 and 5. Here's the problem with the Rams. Stafford, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. This tells you everything you need to know. Matt Ryan for Indy, 8 touchdowns, 7 picks. You got problems there. We got Winston at New Orleans, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. So you can see, who do we want to bet on? Geno Smith with Seattle, 9 touchdowns and 2 picks. Kirk Cousins at Minnesota's 9 touchdowns and 5 picks. Carson Wentz, 10 touchdowns, 6 picks. This is the problem with the league. Kyler Murray, 6 touchdowns only and 4 picks. This is why they're not scoring. This is why they're not winning. The quarterback throws as many interceptions as touchdowns. You got a losing team. Aaron Rodgers, 9 touchdowns and 3 picks. Not bad. I don't think he's really the problem. Trevor Lawrence, 9 and 4. Brissett at Cleveland, 6 and 5. He throws too many interceptions. Lamar Jackson, 13 touchdowns, 6 picks. So then I'd be all over Lamar, but he's 13 and 6. You got Josh Allen, 17 and 4, and Mahomes, 17 and 4, and Brady, 8 and 1. So you can see the difference in quarterbacks. Geno Smith, 9 and 2. Here's 13 and 6. So he's got a lot of touchdowns. So he's going to get you points, but he's going to give you up points. So you play Baltimore over a lot. So this helps your over-unders. Zappy already is 4 and 1. There you go. Zappy comes in. He's 4 and 1. He's already better than Winston at 4 and 5. And here's 6 and 8 Stafford, and Mac Jones was 2 and 5. So you want to look at New England in a microcosm. Mac Jones, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks. Zappy comes in with the same freaking offense, the same team, 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. And you want to know why New England is all of a sudden winning like they are. It all relates to the quarterback. And this is what I am trying to explain, why it's all the quarterback. This is why I get on my Lamar Jackson guy. He throws a lot of interceptions, and he does them at the wrong time. Like, they're beating the Giants, right? Late in the game, he goes back and he scrambles around. He throws late in the middle. It's intercepted. The defense knows where you are. They know you can't throw here because you're rolling right. You can't throw left, and they pick you. It's costing you the game because that's when you need to run. I blame that on the coaching. That play should never have been called. If you want Jackson, his strength is running, run a sweep with him or something. I saw him run an option. He fumbled the ball. No, he needs to really scramble. Go back to pass and run. It's got to be a quarterback draw with Jackson, especially late in the game with a lead like they blew against Buffalo, and now they blew against the New York fucking Giants. He's throwing interceptions. Like, what are you doing? So that's really where you get a little bit skewed is an over team like Seattle plays a 19-9. Now you realize Arizona is not as good. So now we're going to look at weeks 1 and 2 on my stats, and where I see a really screwed up thing, I'm gonna adjust it. I'm just going to manually adjust it and say, okay, they're really not this. And they haven't even played what, this is week 6, but there was 4 byes, so it's five. It's only 5 games, so I can easily take week 1 out and easily look at the last 3 and then make my assumptions. But the problem is, depending on your schedule, right? If you're playing 3 tough teams, I mean, look at Kansas City. They played Tampa and they played Buffalo. So you gotta, if they would have played, and they played San Diego. So I mean, they've had 3 tough games where other teams, the Jets maybe, or I don't know who it is, but they might have played 3 easy games. And so that's where it gets. That's why over like 7-8 weeks, you really get, okay, they played some hard teams. Everybody played hard and easy. And now you got the stats are what they are. And you just kind of watch a little bit. That's kind of an eye test of the defense, of the offense. That's what you're eye testing, not the game. You can't eye test Philly, Dallas, and say, well, Philly looked really good. Dallas looked bad. They threw 3 interceptions. You can't eye test Dallas or Philly in the game. You can see Philly beat Dallas, and now here comes, let's see. So let's look at next week. I think Philly's off. I don't see them. Dallas hosts Detroit. Yeah, I don't see Philly. So what can you eye test? So let's go down this and try to figure it out. Let's try to figure out the Rubik's Cube. So this is last night's lines. I don't have this morning's yet, but I don't think they're going to change right now. They will change a little bit. We got Arizona 3 over New Orleans, over under a 45. Now, my initial reaction is New Orleans is a high score team. I thought Arizona was too. I'm going to go over. Now, after our little look at Arizona, I think this is a New Orleans and 9 play because I don't think Arizona can score. They scored 9 on a weak Seattle team, and New Orleans strong enough, and New Orleans can score. So even how's Arizona going to beat them by more than 9? So now this makes me like New Orleans more than the over. Now I hope I don't get fucked again by taking New Orleans, and then it's a 60-point game. Again, it's getting really frustrating. It's almost like go against the number, because if they are fixing and this line drops to 40. They're all playing it under. I'm going to play it over because then the fix is in for the over. That's how you deal with fixes. You go against what the line's doing. And I'm pretty good at that. But usually I make my own pick and I do it. And if the line moves against me, I'm happy because I know, okay, they're going to fix with me. But I've already picked. So we got New Orleans as a live dog in the game, I believe. I haven't put in the teams yet because I'm waiting to really analyze, are they an A team, an over team, an under team? Because my under teams aren't under teams and my over teams aren't over. So the stats are kind of misleading right now. So I am going to dig into that before I start grading the teams. Green Bay 7 over Washington. I have the Arizona I had -3 because they're at home. Green Bay I have -3, -7 to Washington. Boy, I don't know. Is Green Bay -1 to play? Is Washington +13 to play? Are we going to get mad at Green Bay for losing 2 games in a row, or are we going to take Green Bay going, they're pissed, they can't afford to lose, they got to win? This is the thing. And with Minnesota winning, I got to check the standings also. That's where I get a lot of back against the walls, is looking at the standings going, oh, okay, wait, this team's 1-3 and they need to win. They know their records. They know if they have to win. So again, we've got Green Bay -7. Do we fucking trust Green Bay -1? Now they lost to apparently a decent Giant team and apparently to a very good New York Jet team. And here's Washington, who beats the Bears 12-7. So what are they going to do against a passing quarterback? They have a decent defense. Maybe you go under 48 in the game. Maybe it's an over with Rodgers, but Rodgers is lighting it up. As I'm showing you, they're an under team. They're not scoring, even though they got Rodgers. It doesn't make sense. Washington, puts up a whole 12 on the Bears. I mean, so we don't want to play sort of like chase our tail where, oh, Washington played an under with the Bears, so let's play them under this week. We got to stay away from that. You can't. That's how you get in trouble is you go, oh, they played under last week, we'll play them under this week. It's got to be poker. Green Bay, Washington is the hand. That's all we can look at. Give me a freaking score. Green Bay, Washington, 17-14. Maybe Green Bay wins. Are they going to win by a lot? No. Are they going to win? Can we lay one? Do we take Washington in 13? This is really where we're getting into. Superficially, I think this is an under game because I don't think Green Bay is scoring. I just pointed out they score 19. They got a whole whopping 27-10 against the Jets, of which 2 were blocked punts. So it's a 14-10 with the Jets, who don't have much of an offense. Washington doesn't have much of an offense either, but Green Bay certainly doesn't have anything. Green Bay last week was an under team, so they're still, they're probably still an under team. 24-16, yeah. Well, that's the point. It's a 40 over under 42. Is Green Bay getting the 24 or the 16? I don't think Green Bay can get 24. If they couldn't light up the Jets, how are they going to light up Washington? Are the Jets that strong defensively? No, I had them over 25 points last week. Okay, so we adjust. But again, against Cincinnati, put up 27 on them. Baltimore puts up 25 on them. Only the Packers only get 10 on them. So what do we do? Well, the Packers don't have the defense. Washington sucks bad. Did we think the Jets were any better? Rodgers will be pissed. Yes, he was pissed last week losing to the Giants. I want to try to agree with you that they've lost 2 in a row, and they're going to be pissed. And they're playing Washington, who put up a whole 12 on the Bears. And again, if they don't get 2 punts blocked, that's 14. It's a 13-10 game, of which Green Bay probably wins 17-13 at the end. He's going to find a way to drive him down for the touchdown. But when you're down 27-10, there's nothing you can do. So I'd like to believe that, and maybe that's true, and maybe that's the problem. I'm missing the obvious. Green Bay -1 is the obvious play. Where in college, the obvious play is winning, right? USC, Utah, go over, it's 62, go to 56, and they put up an 80. The obvious play, locked, won. That I agree. And am I missing that with the pro? I mean, the obvious play next week is Green Bay over Washington after 2 losses. So I'll have to dig into that. And we'll see. Because, you assume he was pissed off but they're not that strong as a road favorite as they are as a home favorite. That's one reason I like Green Bay was they were at home off of a loss. On the road, they're not as good anyway, but we will see how good they are. Washington's, Wentz will be pissed too, but he's not good enough to do shit about it. Yeah. If he's even playing, he hurt his ankle. I don't even know. So here's the ringer, right? Heineke plays, and Heineke's better than Wentz. So again, you've got to wonder about the coach and who's really running the team. Because if I'm the coach, Wentz isn't playing. If I'm the coach, Wentz isn't seeing the field. Because you can't say he's any good. Everybody here knows he sucks. He's benched. Wentz is benched or Heineke's benched. Again, Riviera is cutting off his nose despite his face, meaning he's making decisions that he shouldn't be making. But if you're saying Heineke's benched, then that's fine. If you're saying Wentz is benched, he should be. But now you get into Heineke, now the backup quarterback. So then there's other issues. All right. Cincinnati 7 over Atlanta, over under 44. This seems like such an over. Atlanta scores a lot. They have a decent defense. I don't think that defense shut down the Niners. Cincy with Burrow scores on anybody. This game, again, I think 27-21. This game's in the 20s, over under 44. We go over 38. Seems like the most logical. Now, Atlanta is 6-0 in a teaser this year. The hot teams in teasers is actually Houston, Philly, Atlanta, Minnesota, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and it was Miami till he got hurt. So look at the hot team. Atlanta's 6-0, Philly's 6-0 in a teaser this year. That's where the trend changes. That's the beauty of my teaser system, kind of, where I'm picking up where the change is happening. And here you can see the change. Atlanta's hot. So do we take Atlanta in 13? Probably. They're probably not a bad bet. And then we got the over 44, which should be a good one. Baltimore 6 over Cleveland, over under a 46. Both over teams. This should be over 40. Should be a very easy play. Cleveland in 12. Who knows? If Baltimore does beat them, it'll be high scoring. Cleveland can run. And then we got to check the history because they're in the same division to see if these are high or low scoring games and if Cleveland can handle them. A lot of Lamar running, and Cleveland looks very good with Chubb running. So you would think superficially right off the bat, this should be a high-scoring game. I mean, Baltimore doesn't have a defense. Cleveland doesn't. Over-under of only 46. The 40 is just both getting the 20s. Unless they all go for it on fourth down every freaking time they have it, this should be over. And again, then it's a matter of Cleveland in 12. Do you trust Baltimore even? I don't. Cleveland's been playing well. So, again, that's what you have. But I think this is an over above everything else. Dallas, Detroit. Dallas minus 747. You have that dominant Dallas defense. And Dallas is only laying 7 to Detroit. I mean, this seems like such an easy Dallas minus 1. I can't imagine Dallas losing to Detroit. Now, Detroit can score, but I don't know if they're going to move on Dallas. They didn't move on New England, and Dallas has a better defense than New England. So I don't know that they scored too much, and their defense sucks. So I think there's no way Dallas loses this game. So this versus the Green Bay minus 1, I like a whole lot more Dallas minus 1. I don't see how they lose the game. Tampa minus 10 over Carolina, over under 41. And all I do is I put a question mark. I'm like, somebody's got to tell me who Tampa is, because I have no fucking idea how you could go to Pitt and lose, and now you're going to Carolina. You've just lost 3 out of 4. If you're not motivated to beat Pittsburgh, you can't beat Mitch Trubisky and Pickett. Now you got PJ Walker. Mayfield's out. What the fuck? I'm not laying 4 with Tampa. They lost to Pitt in a must-win game. They beat Atlanta by 5 in a must-win game. I mean, I don't know what to think with Tampa. I think the coach sucks. Over under a 41. I don't even know what to do with that. I'll show you. All I got is a question mark on the game. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck do you do with Tampa Bay now? I am just staying away until they start playing Tampa Bay football. I can't do anything with them. I'd rather play Dallas minus 1, and if I lose, I lose, than Tampa minus 4, watching the train wreck I'm watching with this horrible coach. Tennessee 2-42 against Indy. What Indy team shows up? Is Taylor going to play? He was hurt, didn't play, didn't matter. Does Tennessee really have a good defense? Is it tease the dog? Is Tennessee? Yeah. Should they be favored? So the only team I can see actually being favored that should be favored is maybe Cincinnati, and I think 7's high, and maybe Dallas because they're playing Detroit. I mean, Tampa, I don't know that they should be favored. I don't know if Tennessee should be favored. I definitely like probably like the dog in the game. Over under 42. Who knows? You could get a 30-point game or a 60-point game with Indy and Jacksonville. And I mean, I have no idea. These are the games that you just X. Say, I don't want anything to do with it. Jacksonville, why are they 3 points favorite over the Giants? The Giants beat Green Bay, beat Baltimore, went to London and won. I love the Giants here, getting 9, over under a 42. I have no way of figuring out that, but I know why is Jacksonville favored? They just lost to Houston and Indy. They're going to beat the Giants. Giants are on a roll. The little stupid running quarterbacks in the game. Everybody will go for 4th down and 5 at their own 20. I like the Giants tonight. I just don't see why Jacksonville is favored. I don't see them blowing out Jacksonville. I don't see anything again. I think at some point Brady will get pissed and start whipping ass and get on a streak. Well, the big problem is he doesn't have Gronk, and they're not running the ball. And then Julio Jones, who we thought would fill in, has been hurt. I think when Julio Jones starts playing, which probably won't play at all because he's Julio Jones and he never plays, is when they get it. I just think he's got to get used to the receivers. He's got 2 or 3 new ones because he doesn't have Gronk and he doesn't have Julio Jones. So he's got Godwin and he's got Evans, and then he's got a couple guys that nobody's heard of. So he's going to try to, so he's got to try to do that. And then I think he's pissed. He's got the divorce. Maybe is that really bothering him? I don't think so. I don't think they lost the pit because he's getting divorced. I don't think he cares about that. I'm sure he's got plenty of women on the side, and I'm sure he looks pissed enough, and he's throwing the ball. I don't think it's Brady. Again, they had an 89-yard kickoff return to start the second half. Who kicks the ball in the field of play? I thought everything was fair catch. And then where's their defense? Didn't look bad. Where's their offense? They never saw a blitz before, so I think he's got offensive line issues that couldn't handle the Pittsburgh blitz, and Jack Ham and Joe Green were not out there. So I don't know what's going on with them. They don't look good, just like I'm going to say Green Bay. I think they have offensive line issues. It goes back to coaching and GM. They're not prepared for it. I think Green Bay's not prepared with their offensive line, and I think Tampa. I think they have Brady and they have Rodgers and go, oh, we don't need an offensive line. We don't need receivers. Well, Tampa's got receivers. Green Bay's got shit. Green Bay should be running more, but without an offensive line, you can't run either. And I think that's their problem because if you notice, Tampa doesn't run either, and they always ran pretty good with Fournette, and then whoever else they had the kid from SC. So I think that's the big problem is their offensive line sucks, so they can't score. And I think I'm going to say that's both their problems. So I think you'll see them both get better when their offensive line gets better. Then I think you'll do it because you can't block, you can't run, and you can't throw if you can't run. So let's go with that. And that could be a lot why these other guys run, like the Giants. He's probably always under pressure because his offensive line probably sucks, so he's running as opposed to throwing like most of the guys would do, or Kyler Murray probably has offensive line issues. So a lot of times we penalize the quarterback, but it's the offensive line that sucks. And the guy's running for his life. We're going, why is he running? Well, it's probably the offensive line. And I think you can tell that's why I look at balance. So if a team is balanced, like Kent State and my Oak State and Baylor, then they score a lot because you can't defense. You don't know if they're running or passing, but you need a good offensive line for that. So when you aren't getting a good offense, you probably don't have a good offensive line in the beginning anyway, but then you still need a good quarter. Then it goes quarterback. All right. So we like the Giants and 9 seems like the play, maybe over, maybe who the hell knows with Jacksonville. Are they going to play 13-6 or are they going to play 34-27 or 29-21 against Philadelphia? Which team shows up? But I think the Giants are playing well. To win one game, it's a fluke. To win 5 games, they're a good team. Are they as good as Philly? I don't know. Is Philly that good? I don't know. Dallas. So keep an eye on them. Oakland, 7 over Houston, over under 43. Oakland's starting to play well. Is Oakland 7 points better than anybody? Is Houston really this bad, having just beat Jacksonville 13-6? So we also got to give Houston credit. They held this team that's put up 21 on Philly and 27 on Indy to 6 points. So maybe Houston's got this really good defense. See, so it's not maybe Jacksonville's bad offensively because they're not, but here's Houston shutting them out. Maybe Houston's got this really strong defense. We don't know. Let's look at Houston's numbers real quick. And here's where I try to rely on the Houston. Now, Houston's quarterback is Davis Mills, 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So that's why they don't score. But let's go to all right. So what's going on with Planet Houston here? Planet Houston scores 17, gives up 20. They throw for 210, run for 99. They have a really weak offense, so they're an under team. I don't think you can take them plus 13 here, but maybe you go under 43 versus Oakland, which is see, they're an over team. They score 25, give up 26. They throw for 250, run for 120. So they're much more balanced than Houston. Is Houston's defense all that? And that's really the question, right? That's the inconsistency. What did they do with Jacksonville? What did they do? What are they going to do with Oakland? Let's go back a week. So 13-6 with Jacksonville. Let's go to the week before, Houston. Where are they? Okay, they played San Diego 34-24. So apparently they're not the end-all, be-all offense. They gave up 34 to San Diego, which is even more surprising, 6 to Jacksonville, which makes no sense, which again makes no sense. So you would think Oakland would win here -1 because against San Diego, a team with a good quarterback, Oakland lit them up. And then you get a team with a bad quarterback in Jacksonville with Lawrence, who doesn't know what he wants to run. And now you got Oakland, who's starting to light it up, played KC good. And then last week, they lost to KC 30-29. So they are playing so they are. I hate these stupid bullshits. It's funny, if I'm hiding the user, then why do they keep coming back? All right. So that's what we don't know. Oakland's starting to play. They played KC well. And I think the week before they won. Yeah, they played KC. And then the week before, they beat Denver 30. So Oakland's starting to heat up. Adams and Carr played at Fresno State, so they shouldn't be that. They should know each other fairly well, so that's not going to take as long a time. I think Oakland's starting to play well. Houston, again, Davis Mills, what, you going to run a little bit? They got a weak offense. So again, they put up a lot on Denver. See, here's where you get it. Denver were a very good defensive team points-wise, but then Oakland puts up 32 on them. They did run a fumble back for a touchdown. So again, you have that. So what's Oakland going to do against them? So I think Oakland wins the game. This makes sense. Lane 7's may be high in this league, but that makes sense. I don't know how you can go over, but I don't know what you do over or under on this game. This is probably take Oakland -1. They're playing better. The Denver -3 to the Jets, Jets. I don't understand this spread. I don't know why Denver's favored. The Jets just pounded Green Bay. Now, granted, they got 2 block punts. Maybe they'll get a block punt against Denver. I mean, they obviously know what to do to block punts. To get 2 in the same game is unbelievable. One you returned for a touchdown. Are the Jets really this strong? Well, if we take away the Baltimore game, and then Cincinnati got them, but you don't have Joe. Well, you got Russell Wilson here, but he's still struggling. So Denver's -3. Are they going to blow out the Jets? I don't. I like the Jets in 9, just like I like the Giants. Here's where we make the change. Hey, Williams, take Raiders, Dallas, Pats. Okay. So we've got. Why is Denver favored? I mean, I can understand they're at home, they're favored, but I think the Jets are the better team here, to tell you the truth. I think the Jets. I mean, they killed what? Miami, and now they beat Green Bay. Now, beating Green Bay at Green Bay. I'm fine, Williams. How are you? So I think the Jets are like, okay, it was beating Miami at home was a fluke. All right. Tagliabue didn't play. Beating Green Bay in Green Bay after they lost is not a fluke. And the way they looked, quoting the eye test, I'm watching for their defense played well. They ran the ball well. Their quarterback didn't look bad, Zach Wilson. So when you include all that, I think the Jets are just as good as Denver. I think this is the dog, just like the Giants. So I can see taking the Giants in 9, and I can see taking the Jets in 9. And I think they both probably win the game straight out. Kansas City won over the Niners. Over under a 47. I got my second question mark in this game right here. Like, what the fuck? How many times are they going to go for it on 4th down? Jesus Christ. It's going to be the end of this whole sport, these going for it on 4th downs. KC -1. I have KC -3 because they're KC. I don't know if that's good or bad, Williams. Do we want to be above ground or do we want to be in the underground? I want to be in that underground city that I heard about. Somebody was telling me that they've heard there's actually an underground city, and nothing would surprise me at all. KC -1. Which Niner team shows up? The one that shuts out Rams, or the one that gives up points to Carolina, or the one that loses to Atlanta? Again, I think there was a block punt in that game or some turnover. No, it was a fumble return for a touchdown. The Niners, good defense, but you guys are telling me they're injured. And I go, well, so what? Everybody's injured. That can't be the excuse, because every team's got injured players. So therefore, I don't buy that as an excuse. KC -1 against the Niners. This is very confusing. KC with Mahomes. They're not bad on the road. The Niners, Garoppolo isn't in the class. How good is their defense? And will their defense shut down KC? This is why I got the question mark up. Are you going to get an over with this Niner defense? Is the Niner defense really the Niner defense? I know Mahomes is a better quarterback. He's better than Allen, but he still lost. So the question really is the Niner defense. Which Niner defense are we going to get here? They should be pissed off after losing to Atlanta, but the fact they lost to a explosive offense like Atlanta makes me believe they might not handle Kansas City. They're a 3-3 team. I don't know. They dominated Seattle at home. They dominated the Rams at home. Okay, Seattle doesn't have Russell Williams, and the Rams have Stafford, so not very good quarterbacks. I don't know. I have to do some serious thought, and I hope the Niners go favored. Then I'll take the Chiefs as the dog. But as it lies, I'm struggling to take the Niners in 7. Then we go to over under 47. With that defense, I can't go. I'm not going to go over 41. And with the Chiefs, it's hard to go under 53, although we just saw they did stay under. So this is a very difficult game to look at, and I'd rather go with the Jets and Giants, I think. So right now I'm going to I need to do some more research. San Diego 7.5 over Seattle. Are you kidding me? Why is San Diego? I got San Diego -3. Why are they a 7.5 point favorite? This is what I don't. I mean, I like Seattle automatically here. They're playing well. They're playing good offensively. Apparently, they're playing good defensive against Murray. 9 points for Arizona. San Diego, as I said, they never. You bet against them, you win almost every time, especially as a home favorite. This is. I'd rather bet Seattle much better than I like the KC Seattle. The Patriots are a lock. The Bears are bad. Are the Patriots playing the Bears? I don't think the Bears are playing this week. New England. Who's New England playing? I see. Monday night. I haven't gotten there yet. So I like Seattle, especially getting 13.5. The way they've been playing, they're starting to score. They got Lockett and Metcalf. They're running the ball with my Michigan State guy. Defense is playing away, and you got Coach Pete, and San Diego never blows out anybody. So here I really like Seattle in the 13, where I'm not loving Washington in the 13, and I would never take Detroit in the 13. So this week's starting to line up where there's 4 or 5 games I actually am feeling comfortable with, if they all go according to Hoyle. Miami 7 over Pitt. What the fuck? Who's the quarterback? You getting Bridgewater against who's Pitt's quarterback? Pickett sucks, and Trubisky's worse. But they just beat Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. What the fuck? This game is a what the fuck game. Pitt, Miami. Miami's laying 7. How can the Bears lay 7? I don't understand it at all. Again, well, let's see who the quarterback is. I mean, maybe if they're on all cylinders, but Pitt's going to blitz. They don't have an offense, although somehow they scored 20 on Tampa, and Tampa has a very good defense. So this is almost Pitt in 13. Again, Pitt getting blown out by Buffalo pisses them off. So they beat Tampa, and now they believe they can win. They beat Tom Brady, and now they're at Miami, and I don't know how Miami blows out anybody. Maybe with Tagovailoa if he's back, but I don't think he'll be back. So Bridgewater's not going to blow out, even if it's Trubisky. I just don't see it. I maybe it's an under with the quarterbacks. I don't know. I think this game would be more of an under than it would be taking a team, but I don't see how you can take Miami -1 to win at all, because Pitt, where I thought was the only Z team, isn't that bad. And now Williams' game, Chicago, New England -7. Absolutely, I agree with you. New England, that's my spread. That's the spread, 7 down to 1. Zappy, as long as he's the quarterback. If fucking Matt Jones is the quarterback, I'm going to go shoot Belichick, but I think he's smarter than that. I would ignore the over-under 39. However, I do think this is an under because the Bears won't score. I think this is another one of these shutouts. And if you shut out the Lions, who have a good offense, you're going to shut out the Bears, who have no offense. He'll blitz. Here's the difference. Belichick will blitz Fields, and he'll get sacked 10 times. He can't throw. He throws a few interceptions. So I agree with you, Williams. I agree with you on New England. Where's your picks? So you're saying Raiders, Dallas, and Pats. I like the Pats. I like Dallas. Yeah, they should be pretty good picks. Although I don't know about Oakland because we don't know who Houston is, right? Who is Houston? So now this week I'll play more teams, and then all the over-unders will win. So again, I gotta relax on the over-unders right now until I really who is the real bad teams and who are the really strong. Because the Buffalo KC game, how does that not go over 47 and it ends 44 and they don't kick 3 field goals inside the 10-yard line? They don't kick anymore. That's really the problem. Is I think San Diego and Oakland are over type of teams. If I go through this list, New Orleans is definitely an over. Arizona, I thought was an over, isn't. That makes New Orleans a live dog. Atlanta's an over team. Cincinnati, I think, is becoming – I think in this game it's an over because I think if Cincy plays a good offensive team like New Orleans, they're going to be points. If they play a Baltimore or Pittsburgh, I think they're going to, more shut them out. Cleveland's an over and Baltimore's an over. Dallas is not. Detroit's an over just because they have no defense. Tampa, Carolina, I have no idea. I don't know what they are. Tampa is probably an under. Carolina, I don't know. Indy, I don't know. Tennessee, I don't know. That's where the problems are lying. The Tampas, the Carolinas, the Indy. Who are they? Over or under? You don't know from one week to another, and that's like you got to just stay away from them. Same thing with Jacksonville. I don't know who they are. The Giants seem to be strong. Oakland's an over. Houston, I don't know. The Jets are probably an over. Denver apparently isn't. KC is an over. Frisco, we have no idea. We think they're an under. Seattle's an over. San Diego's an over. There's a good over. And you can see the over-under is 53, which I think is a bit high after San Diego, Arizona was a 28. Pitt and Miami, we don't know. A lot of it because of the injuries. And then we know New England is turning into a strong team. I don't know if they're an over. Like if New England played KC, that's an over. But New England against Chicago, they'll probably shut them out. So definitely agree with it. Now, I think this week should be much better. I get, I think what's been happening to me, I'm probably over 90% in college. I mean, this is 16-2, 17-2, 10-0, 13-1. Every week is 16-2, 7, and then there's 5 games I'm not even playing that are winning. So I'm just so hot in college, but the system I'm using in college isn't working in the pros, where I'm looking at over-unders too much and need to just stick to the games. And I did hit the Dallas under with Philly, but we should have hit the KC Buffalo over. Was absolutely makes no sense. But then I did have the over in the Cincinnati New Orleans game. And then where did the over go in Seattle, Arizona? Now that should have been take the home dog, Seattle. Anytime you get a good home dog, you bet it. That's what you got to do. Mr. Bonilla, the professor has been kicking ass in college. Yeah, I know. And I set a very high standard. I don't do this just to do it. I'm not the guy on the movie. I'm not Matthew McConaughey. I know what I'm doing. I don't do it for us to lose. And I get kind of pissed when the pros, I've been doing pretty well. The week before I was 3 on one of my locks with the Niners under, didn't win. But again, I'm getting burned a little bit on the over-under. So I'm going to be a little more selective. I think I'm relying on the stats too much without really going, well, week 1 sucks. Week 2 sucks. Let's start with week 3, 4, and 5 as our totals. And I'm still skewing week 1 and 2 in there. So I've got to be a little bit more microscope. But I think now we're going into week 7. I think we've identified our teams a little more. Like we know the Jets and Giants aren't terrible teams. We don't really have a Z team. We think it's Houston, but it really isn't. Jacksonville, no. Indy's not. So the real weak teams aren't really weak. And there's really no really strong team. Maybe, Philly and KC and Buffalo aren't the, these super team. They're not the Steelers and the Niners and the Cowboys of their eras. So that's the other thing. So I need to do a little bit more work in the pros, but normally I'm like 90% in the pros. And I've really figured out the college about middle of last year. When I caught on to Van Dyke and Rising and I started going over and unders more, I really hit the college. I don't want to jinx myself here, but in the pros, I usually run the table. I mean, I usually go 9-1. Bad weeks like 8-2. So last week frustrated me. So I've seen a bunch of games that should go the way we want them to, but we'll see. Anyway, www.teaserking.com. You get my email. You can email me. This should be a huge week. I've already posted 1 or 2 college locks already, making sure we're at the right before the line moves. I love the line on a couple of games. So I have posted 1 lock that I really don't understand the line on this one game. I just am very confused. My 7 point favorite's a 7 point dog, and I'm like, excuse me, am I missing something? So that doesn't make any sense. So that's one lock. I'll have more. And after going through the pros, I see a couple of games that I really like that should be good. And I think starting with New Orleans getting 9, they're going to score. Arizona, I don't know who they are. It's week 7, so I don't know if they get the receiver back or not. He's either back this week or he's back after week 7. I'm not sure. John Anthony, not Earl Anthony. He should have been Earl Anthony. He says he has a crystal ball because he always knows who's going to win, except for when he had 5 weeks where he won 2 games. I love the one at the golf course where he's hitting golf balls and he says, "Oh, I know we did good." And the guy says, "We had our biggest clients ever, and you had 1 winner." See, that to me, I'm grading it, right? So when I don't see good teams, I make the units less. I might make 7-unit plays. When I like them, like last week, I had a 25-unit lock, was USC, Utah over, and it was over at freaking halftime. They had 49. It was 28-21 at the half, and we're over 57. We're done at halftime. Okay, it's a 25-unit play. What he's not doing is doing units, right? His crystal ball, he had shitty plays, obviously. He wasn't even looking, right? Oh, it's Tuesday morning. I'll just look at the line and play it. Well, who the fuck does that? You got to analyze, and then you got to look at the injuries. So yeah, he goes undefeated 1 week, but that's it. Sean, I've been following for a few months. I'm completely in awe of your selections, Professor. Thank you, Sean. There are so many out there that just want to steal your money and give losing pick. Well, that's why, what is my comment? I'm here to make you money, and I'm sincere about it, and I'm honest. And I'm an analyst and a problem solver, not a salesman. I'm not here trying to sell anybody anything. If you want my picks and you want to do, I got 4 guys doing 10-team teasers with me. It doesn't cost them a penny. And if we win, I get 20%. So it's clearly in my best interest for them to win. I had one guy did a $2,000 10-teamer. I think he bet $100. We hit the first 9 and we lost San Jose. Believe me, I was hoping he hits and then I get 20% of it. So, but I'm not forcing him to do it, and I'm not forcing him to bet $50,000 and give me $250,000 up front and da 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 da. I don't do that to anybody. I do ask for the week's picks, but then you get the picks, and then you can see the results and you hear the results. You can go back, listen to me 2 weeks ago. I walk through every fucking game. I don't pick them all, but you know who I'm playing, so I can't bullshit you. If I told you I like New England over the Bears, and New England wins, I didn't bullshit you. If the Bears win, you know I had New England. So I can't bullshit you because I'm giving you the picks. The question is, which ones am I betting and which ones am I locking? That's what you're paying for is I need to bet more on the 25-unit locks. I will tell you there's locks, but I'm basically giving you what I think is going to happen. I just walk through it. And then that's what I do Thursday. Now, tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm giving you the game. College, Georgia State, App State, -10, 61. So I'm going to give you the over on it. It's not a free pick. It's not going to be one of my free picks I'll give out Thursday for college, but I'm telling you, take App State over 61. They're both explosive offensive teams with weak defenses. And in college, it works. In the pros, you get a freaking Arizona, Seattle mess, 19-9. You see that once in a while, but basically Iowa plays anybody. It's an under. It's an under. It ain't going to. They're not putting up 50 points on Iowa, and you're in a 10-0 game with Iowa. Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Sean. You can also learn about gold and silver in the class. This class is open to everything of my skill set that I can teach you. Your health. Don't eat the sugar. Gold and silver. By the way, Professor, do you like and teach real estate? I can give you what I know about real estate. I don't teach it. Well, what I can teach you is the economic standpoint of it. So if we go Austrian economics on real estate, there's one thing I can teach you. And I got to find it, but basically what it says is for a bank, aka BlackRock, the worst investment you can make is real estate because you don't want to own a house. I'll teach you what I know from a individual, from an Austrian economic view. So a house is an asset. So in real estate, you want location. So when I was 9 years old, it was like 1967, 68. And I remember we drove through to San Francisco. So we drove through Vegas and we went and saw Willie Mays play in Candlestick Park at the end of the trip. And here's the way my brain worked. So we go to Vegas on the way, and my dad starts playing slot machines at Caesar's Palace. And we were able to stand at the rail, even though I was 9. I could get in, but I couldn't go into the casino area. But I could stay on the outside where the restaurants and the gift shops were. And my thought was, there's sand and nothing next to Caesar's. It's just sand. And my brain said, fuck, I want to buy that land next to Caesar's because somebody's going to build a hotel on it eventually. And it's going to be worth millions. I didn't have any money at the time, but that's the way my mind worked. And of course, Mirage went up there. And of course, the land's worth, billions of dollars. And that's how my mind worked. You want location. You want to build on the land. If people say buy land, land's useless. Okay, so now there's heavy inflation. You're going to go buy a field. What do you think the field's going to be worth? Why would the demand for the field go up? Why would the field be worth anything? It doesn't. It's not worth anything. It's an asset in the sense that you own the land, but unless you put something on the land to make it valuable, unless you're next to Caesar's Palace, where now there's demand to buy the sand next to Caesar's to put up a Mirage, that's where the land gets value. But just to buy land doesn't make any sense. To buy real estate in this market, interest rates are going up, not because of the Fed, because of the inflation, because it costs more money to get money back. So, okay, if you're in real estate, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and you want to buy or sell a house or a building, I guess. You're going to loan money out, right? So I'm a bank. You want to buy a $400,000 house. Well, why should I loan you the money? And if I do loan you the money, wait, this is inflation, which means the money is going to lose value. Now, if it's up to me, I take the 400 grand and buy gold with it and don't deal with the public. I don't want to get paid back in paper dollars if it's even going to be there. But that's how I think, right? It would all be, don't even fuck with it, just buy gold and silver. But okay, so I'm a bank, and that's what I do is I loan out money to people buying houses. I got to if I'm going to loan you 400, I want something for it. I don't want to give you 400 and get paid back 330 because of inflation. I want to get, let's say, 10%. I don't know what's fair, but let's say that's the market. So if I loan you 4, I want to get 440 back. My 400 plus the 10%. How do I do that? Well, in an inflationary environment, which we have all over the fucking world, the only way to get it is to charge a high interest rate, because the 400 I gave you, you're going to give me back maybe 300 at best, I think, right? Because they'll give you back $400,000, but the purchasing power of the dollar will not buy you the same as the 400 I gave you today in 10 years and 20 years and 30 years, if I even get paid back in dollars. So my concern is I want the 4 plus I want the interest. So you're losing value there. So I got to charge you more interest rate to get my amount back. In other words, how do I get back 440? I'm going to charge you 10%. And even then I'm going to lose, because I understand it as an Austrian economist that the value of the dollar is going to drop. That's what inflation is the purchasing power drops. So I'll be lucky in 30 years if I get paid back 200,000 because the value of the money, what it's going to buy, is going to be nothing. But I understand that 99% of these people in America don't understand that. Oh, it'll be fine. The government will fix it. The dollar can't go out. It's the reserve currency. Da 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 da. Do you know why it's the reserve currency? Because it's the gas currency. It's what the Saudis take, because every transaction for Saudi oil has to be U.S. dollars. Well, guess what? Biden goes and pisses off the Saudis. They say, fuck you. Now they're taking yuan. They're taking rubles and gold and silver and rupees and any currency you want to give me. As long as it's backed by this new gold dollar, I'll take that. I don't want the U.S. dollar. 55 countries don't want the U.S. dollar. So the U.S. is basically fucked. So you're not going to get your money if there's even going to be dollars, but nobody understands that. So I do. So I wouldn't even lend the money out, which eventually happens. You can't find what is called as able and willing people, buyers. So who's able and willing? Well, most people don't have money and they can't pay it back, or they're not willing to do it. So they don't want to buy a house now because it's too expensive, and the interest rates are causing it to be too now I got to pay $600,000 for a $400,000 house. That's too expensive. Or the interest rates are driving my payment up so much I can't do it. So from a real estate thing, prices are going to drop because people are going to need money, because what they think they have in the bank isn't worth what they think they have. So let's say you got $300,000 in the bank. In 6 months, it's going to be worth maybe $200,000 because of inflation. That's what's happening, right? And when the U.S. dollar stops being the reserve currency, it collapses. Your $300,000 is worth zero. This is what I'm warning you to get out of the bank. But so what are you going to do? So I'm going to need money, right? So I'm going to sell my assets. So I'm going to sell my house because I need money. And if it's $400,000 now, would I need to sell it? But who's going to buy it from me? So I got to lower the price because people don't have the money to pay me $400,000 because they don't think, part of the reason you buy a $400,000 house, you think, oh, it's going to go up to $5,000 and I'll sell it for $5,000. It's not an investment. It's a house. It's an asset. I'm not buying the gold and silver as an investment. I'm buying it to get safe from the U.S. dollar. I understand the U.S. dollar is crashing. But I understand that. I got a master's in it. You don't understand that. That's why I teach it, because I want to protect you. That's the difference between me and this John Anthony idiot. But anyway, that's the whole point. You need protection, but you don't know it, right? And so therefore, the only protection, that's why I say get the gold and silver, or even a Tom Brady rookie card that's worth $100,000, or a Montana is going to hold its value and go up because it's priced in dollars. But you want to own money. The gold and the silver will go up, and then you actually use it to buy a house. Oh, that $500,000 house, here's an ounce of silver, or an ounce of gold. And he goes, thank you. Here, it's your house. That's what you're going to do. That's what they did in the 1930s in Germany. As these $1 million houses and nobody can afford them, you'd give them 3 ounces of gold and you'd buy $1 million house. So that's what's going to happen now. People are going to need money because they don't realize the 300 or 400,000 in the bank is going to be worth zero, and then they're going to need money and they start selling their assets. Right now, they can't pay their car payments. They're not going to be able to pay their mortgages, which is going to cause rent to go up in apartments because people are going to have to move out and they got to live somewhere. That's why you got all these homeless. They can't even afford an apartment. So, they don't know enough to plan and do what we're doing. So that's what's happening. So that's why the market will crash, stock market. And that's why the bonds are all crashing, because the yields are going up. The value of the bonds are dropping. And that's basically why the houses are dropping, because the interest rate, because if I'm going to loan, I need to make money on it. This is business. I give you 400, I want 440. The only way to do it is I got to charge you 10% interest. So it has got nothing to do with the Fed's funds, Powell raising interest rates, never raises mortgage or car loan rates. If anything, if you actually believe what he's doing, was to help inflation, then they would go down, because then, oh, my 400, I don't need 10% for 440. I only need 5%, because you know what? He's killing inflation. He's not killing inflation. He's putting all these other countries out of business. He's bankrupt Japan. He's bankrupt China. He's bankrupt UK. He's bankrupt all of Europe, Germany, Italy, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India. They are all bankrupt because he's just raised the rates. So what he's saying is, yeah, you know that house for 400,000 and I was charging you 10%? I'm charging you 20% now. Wait a minute, I can't afford a 20% mortgage. I'm going to have to default and I can't pay you. That's what he's just done to all these countries by raising these interest rates. He's made it more expensive. And nobody does a fixed rate. I would do a fixed rate. When I did my mortgage, when I had a house, when I was married, we had a $400,000 house. I locked in 3%. I fixed it because I didn't want to fuck with variable. You never fuck with variable. You know the banks are going to raise the rates on you. I'm in a nice 3%. We had $1,000 mortgage on a $350,000 house is what it was. And we put down $100,000 on it because that's what I made on my condo. And it was $1,000 a month for the fucking, I'm paying $1,500 here, $1,400 here. 15, I have to, cable's included. Or internet's included, but that's what I do. So what you have is these people. So interest rates are simply the cost of money. So if you think they're hurting the value of money, you charge more interest rate. Powell is not trying to hit inflation. He's saying, oh, I'm raising interest rates to fight inflation. No, you're not. I mean, if you wanted to do that, the interest rate should be 20% now because that's what inflation is. You can't sit there and go, well, let's not count food and energy and rent, and we'll take that out, even though those have gone way up. And so he gives you a number of 8%. It's 20. It's bullshit. It's 20% because rent's gone way up, gas has gone way up, food's gone way up, but we won't count that. So it's like me going through last week's games and go, well, we're going to count the Dallas under, but you know, the Buffalo KC over, we're not going to count that in our statistics. So my winning percentage is higher because I'm not going to count them. I went 99% last week because I'm not going to count my losses. I mean, that's basically what this idiot's saying. So when he raises rates 0.5%, 0.75%, what he's doing is bankrupting these countries. The question is, as we do in football, is why are you bankrupting Europe? That's why I believe we're run by China. I believe China is the puppet master of the Biden and the government, right? Bill Gates married a Chinese agent, and Pelosi's with the Chinese agent, and Zuckerberg married a Chinese agent. They're all marrying these Chinese agents because they're so fucking stupid. And so they then blackmail them and say, we're going to kill you. And then they go, yes. And Biden takes the money and he's okay, fine. And so he takes the money and he, Jesus Christ. So he's doing because the question that you always need to ask is, what is the benefit? Who gains by what happens, right? It's like saying field goals and defensive touchdowns don't count. Exactly. But that's what they're doing. So who's the puppet master here is China. China gave them all that money, and now they expect something for all that money. Now you think Biden wouldn't get trapped by this because he's got a strong military. But if you really think what Biden's doing, if you think it's China and or Russia, I'm not sure about Russia because we're fighting them. There's no war with the Ukraine. It's Russia versus the U.S. That's what this war is because we're sending them over all the shit and NATO, and it's basically the strangest war I've ever seen because nobody's going into Russia to fight. Oh wait, Hitler came out and Germany was fighting, and what did we do? We went into Germany and blew the hell out of them. But that's not what's happening. We freed France. We supported England. We freed Amsterdam and the Netherlands and all the countries we freed. We're not going into Russia to blow them up. What the fuck? Why aren't we? Thank you, Williams. Yeah, I only talk if I know. If I don't know something, I'm not going there. I'm not going to assume things. But if I know it, I am going to talk about it. So why aren't we going into Russia? Why are we just sitting there with Ukraine? We're not even sending in troops, and we're like helping them. Oh, we'll send you missiles. What is that? What kind of fucking war is it? Could you imagine against Hitler we would have done that? Jesus Christ, it'd still be World War II on. Um, well, I think it's all politicians, Williams. I think the Republicans. Uh, I don't call them that. It's either conservative or liberal, and it's the liberals that are awful because they're all the problem with politics now is it's all payouts. So therefore, why does anybody run? Because they know they're getting this big payday because they're idiots attorneys. They go, I'm not making money at my practice. I'll go into government and I'll get all these kickbacks from the Hershey's and Coca-Cola, Pepsi wanting all the laws to go their way. That's why they run, and they're not running for us. It's supposed to be initially set up to represent the people, what the people want. I'm going to do, and to protect the people. You're basically the voice because we can't all be in government. That's the point of why government's set up, but that's not what's happening. They don't care about us. They're taking the money. Look at Biden's got what, $20 million and 5 Richie houses. Where's he getting that? He makes 50,000 a year, and I'm sure back when he started, he was making 20,000 a year. Where's he afford all these houses? Well, they're all kickbacks and payouts. I paid off my home last year. That's good. I only did fixed rate too. That's good. Like, yeah. Well, that's what you should do. And now, really, you want to kind of sell it before the shit hits the fan. But I understand why you wouldn't. You're kind of locked in. But the value of your house is going to drop because of the economic, because of the inflation. Now, normally inflation raises your housing because it's an asset and it should go up. But because they've already went up, unless it's like a 30-year-old house. I have a friend in Alabama. He bought his house for $150 5-6 years ago. It's worth $300. That's the inflation. It's already kicked it to 300. Like, he doesn't understand why it went up. I don't know, well, that's the inflation. So it's already in play, which is what should have happened with gold and silver, which is why I'm screaming to buy it, because it hasn't done what every other asset's done, which is jump. They're holding it down, but you can't keep holding it down. And when it jumps, it's going to go from 1,800 to 30, 40,000, and silver's going to jump from 25 to 2,000. And I love when these people, some guy's an idiot when he says, well, I think gold will hit 2,100. 2,100? What are you, a fucking idiot? Because they're looking at the paper gold. No, I don't care about paper gold. It's physical gold that I care about. And that's the other differentiation that these idiots don't make, is it's paper versus physical. That's why you don't buy an ETF. You buy the real coins or the bars. That's why you do it. William, you're on a roll. I saved $20K by paying it off. $20K what? US dollars? Don't go buy gold with your $20K. I paid $89,000 in 1986. Now it's worth $400. But if I sell, you have to replace it. So your $400 now will end up being worth maybe $200,000, but that's okay. Have to pay $600K for what? What do you have to pay $600K for if it's worth $400K? Oh, the new house will cost you $600. No, well, give it about 6 months, and you'll be paying $200,000. So I understand what you're saying. You'll never lose on the 80. You would have bought it. See here, if you bought it at 4, now try to sell it for 6. You're not going to be able to sell it for 6. That's the problem. Nobody can afford the 6 because of the inflation and the higher interest rates. That's where you see the inflation, right? Everybody was keeping the interest rates low artificially, because that's what the Keynesians believe in. We keep it low, we just print money, and we keep printing money. And that's what happens. So you keep printing money. Now you're realizing the money is worthless because you kept printing the money. Therefore, that's why you got to get out. So when I go to the Toyota dealer, I give the guy football picks. He gives me an oil change for free. And and the sales manager has Bitcoin, and he said, I bought it for 30. It was worth 100. This was like last year. I said, sell it, take your 70,000 in profit and go buy gold with it. Oh no, it'll keep going up. And I'm sitting there like begging him, look, I'm not trying to hurt you. If you're at Caesar's Palace and you brought 30 grand and you're up 100 playing blackjack, are you going to quit or keep going? I would tell you to keep your 30 grand and keep playing, take your 70 grand profit, and you've got to make profit. That's how you become a professional gambler. And a winner is when you get profit, you take it and you lock it away. And now I can't lose. And now I keep playing the initial because I've already won the 70. I got 30 left. I can't lose. Even if I lose the 30, I made 70, but it gives me an opportunity to play the 30 to win more. That's how a professional gambler does it. That's how we do it here. And you got to mix it up a little. That's why I do units. My friend who runs the Honda place buys gold. And I'll bet you, and you go ask him, Williams, go to the Honda place and tell him how many ounces of gold for the car, for a Honda Accord or a Honda Civic, whatever. I will bet you he would take the gold. I bet you he won't take Bitcoin. And if you did buy a loan with US dollars, I would imagine the rate would be high. But tell this guy to look for a new job because ain't nobody going to be buying cars. Even if they're gas powered, you got to go to electric, which nobody wants. But who's going to pay? Like my Camry went from 22 to 30. I'm not paying 30,000 for a new Camry. Are you kidding? Because your costs went up because of inflation. I don't have 30. I don't have a desire to give you 30. I gave you 22, and I thought that was a lot for the Camry because the last one I bought was like 19. But he's not going to be able to sell any because A, he raised prices, and B, interest rates. Nobody's going to be buying new cars. You're going to be buying used cars. So my thought is look for Ford, GM, Honda, Toyota, all these companies to start laying off people. They're in big trouble. You will be able to buy. I guarantee you go to your friend and report back later this week, and I guarantee you he will take gold for the car. And I guarantee you he will not take Bitcoin because he doesn't know what Bitcoin's worth, but he knows gold's gold. And if he buys gold, he will take gold for the car. And eventually, you're going to give him a half ounce of gold for the Honda Civic. That's going to be, what, 40 grand? You maybe in the beginning, you'll give him an ounce. Later on, you're going to give him a half an ounce and walk out with the gold, walk out with the car. That's the power of gold. That's what I'm telling you. That's what'll happen. So back to the real estate. So again, it's all, does somebody want to, can they afford the loan? But as the loaner, as the guy with the money, the bank, I need to charge this 10% interest. So who's going to afford it? Not a lot of people. So if I'm in real estate, as William does, so William needs to sell his 400,000 and wait for it to go down. It won't be 6. If you're gonna sell it and it's worth 400 grand, you will be able to buy a new one within a year for 150 grand. Or if you have gold, you'll be able to buy it with maybe 2 ounces of gold. You'll have the $600,000 house because there won't be US dollars anymore. So they're going to take whatever's value, and the value is gold and silver because everybody knows gold and silver has value. Try to sell the guy Bitcoin. I don't take Bitcoin. I don't take Bitcoin. So if you tried to pay Teaser King in Bitcoin, I wouldn't take it. There's no way I can. I don't have a Bitcoin account and I'm not going to create it. My girlfriend wants me to get Cash App. I says, I don't trust it. I'm not going to do it. So I had her go on Teaser King and buy a package because I lent her money. So she's paying me back. I says, well, you got to go on Teaser King and buy it. I'm not going to take Cash App. I do have one guy. I have Venmo. I don't like to use it, but he pays me in Venmo. And I'm like, okay, fine. But I will take gold and silver. So if you wanted to buy a week, I would say give me 3 ounces of silver and that would take care of the week. Or if you wanted to buy the month for 300, I would say Give me, well, a quarter ounce is 550. I would say, give me 3 ounces of silver is approximately 100. So I'd say, give me 9 ounces of silver. Give me 8 ounces of silver. And you can buy them out for 300. But I would never take Bitcoin. God bless. I hope God's blessing us and not killing us. So that's what's going to happen. So as all the prices go up, it's really like when you go to the grocery store, your rent goes up or this. Interest rates are to protect the lender. What you really want to do is buy the house and pay it back in inflated dollars because you're really paying back in cheaper dollars. That's the benefit of inflation as you're paying back. But you got to do a fixed rate so you don't get hurt by the interest rates. Bitcoin is junk. What is it? It's not an asset. It's not going to help you. You can't go buy a car with it. You could buy a car with gold and silver. It's really from the Russian and Chinese mafia laundering money. That's really what it is, and why people are thinking it's going to go up. Again, I'm still waiting for an explanation. I gave you an explanation on football, why we bet a team, or why we didn't, or why it won, or why it lost. Dallas, Philly under, both good defenses. KC, Buffalo didn't go over because they kept going fourth down 3 times inside the 10-yard line and got nothing. That's why we lost it. But we should have bet it because they're 2 good, high-scoring teams. It just didn't work out. But that's what that was the point. Bitcoin, I can tell you, is nothing. It's crap because it is. And what I don't understand is people holding a blind eye to it. Like I can go down to MGM now and play poker, and the guy there will lose my phone. I can go play poker. Where did my phone go? Just a second. Oh, well. Just looking. Oh, here's my phone. So I could go to the MGM and play poker. Sorry about that. And talk Bitcoin, right? I'll just kind of nonchalantly. I talk a lot of poker because I'm bored, and I'll just go. Plus, I'm trying to like piss off the other players or learn from them or get a feel for them. And I'll sit down and my money's in gold. Where's your money? Is it get it out of the stocks, get it out of dollars? My money's in Bitcoin. Okay, why? Nobody can give me an answer why they're in Bitcoin. Nobody. They have no idea why they're in Bitcoin. Well, it's going to go up. Why? Well, I don't know, but it will. Why is it going? How do you not have an explanation? It's not supply and demand. You think 21 million is limited. As I've told you, we could get a Brady rookie card that's 300 count. That's a lot more limited than 21 million, isn't it? 21 million, I can buy Topps baseball cards that are worthless. So why is 21 million limited? Maybe compared to the trillions of US dollars, but that's not limited and it's going bankrupt. So anyway, back to like the Chinese, I think. So when you bankrupt all these countries, who benefits? And I think the benefit is China and Russia. There's a lot of BRICS countries, which are China, Russia, India, South Africa, Saudi Arabia. There's a lot more joining. What the U.S. is doing is killing the dollar on purpose, because what's happening, it's hurting every country when we raise interest rates in this environment. All of a sudden, people have U.S. dollars. It's now costing them more because the interest rate went from 2 to 3 or 3.5. So every time this joker raises interest rates, makes the cost of the dollar go up, which hurts all these countries that have to have dollars. So he's forcing them out, which I believe is on purpose. So they're all getting away from the dollar, going, I don't know, I got the euro, I got the British pound, I got the Deutschmarks or Swiss francs. I'm out of the dollar. And so they're all like, what should happen is you're in Switzerland with the Swiss franc. You want to go to London and buy something and you need British pounds. You should be able to give them so many francs for the pound, but you can't. You have to go to the bank, get francs to dollars and dollars to pound. What the fuck is that all about? What do we need a middleman for? And that's really what pisses everybody off. So now that you've raised interest rates, now that transaction costs you more. They're all like, well, then we don't need it. You're going to sanction us and you're going to blow us away. So every country's getting away from the US dollar. Well, it's not a reserve currency if nobody uses it. And you're forced because of oil, but now you're not, because oil's going to everybody because they're sitting there because this idiot accused them of something. I Googled the price of silver yesterday. It showed $18 and change, which I don't recall being the case. What is the reliable source to use for checking the current price on silver? There is no price. There is no place. What you'll eventually have to do, Benila, is go to the Moscow. There's going to be a Moscow like currency exchange or Moscow gold exchange. And that's going to be the physical price. And that's the price you want to use. You don't want to use, no, it's all COMEX right now. So if you go to just gold price, just Google gold price and then switch it to silver, and you'll see whatever, $18. It's not a real price. It's a derivative price. The idiots are shorting into the biggest bull market in the world. It's sort of like going under in the Washington-Arizona game, as I told you about some idiot on the radio saying, well, it's 72, it's too high. I'm going to play that game under. I'm like, fuck, you can't play it under. You play it over, you don't play it. And they ended up at a 90. So I'm sitting there like, it'd be like playing the Alabama-Tennessee game under. That's what they're doing with silver. They're betting it the other way. And it's ridiculous. But there is no real physical price of silver. It's paper price. And as I've explained in the paper videos in the gold and silver, those are derivative prices. So the price is set as a derivative, which means it's a fancy stock. I'm not really sure the definition because I don't play it, but they're betting they're betting that it's going to go down, and then it's fixed because these other bankers will buy it from them. So I'm going to bet it drops, and then this guy over here buys because he's got to fill the order, and it's going down, but it's not going down because nobody is selling silver or gold at this time. Nobody. Going to my guy, he barely has it. I don't know how much your guy had in Florida, but my guy, I'm going to go there after the show. It's open till 5, so I'm going to finish soon. But it's clearly not. It's clearly not nobody's selling it, right? So the physical price of silver, I'm going to say, is about $1,000, but it's not posted anywhere. It's me knowing that everybody's buying it, that it's short in supply, and just doing my economic research. It's sort of like we just talked about what New England, Chicago. New England's -7. What's going on in gold and silver is like Chicago's a 21-point favorite in the game. What the fuck? That doesn't. How can they beat 21 point? But that's what the derivative's doing. It's putting money. It's making the spread go Chicago, even though New England probably should be a 10-point favorite. Okay, it's 7, but why is Chicago a 21 point? That's what gold and silver is. Silver at $18 an ounce is Chicago -21. When we know the real spread is New England by 7. We know the real amount of physical silver is at least $1,000 an ounce. But because everybody looks at COMEX, because nobody's really analyzing the why, that's why I tell you to run and buy $23 silver, because it's $1,000 an ounce. But they won't post it because the price fixing from JP Morgan and they own the central bank, and the US government doesn't want the price to go up because they want you to hold US dollars. So the fix is buy US dollars look at gold and silver. It doesn't do anything because they're keeping the price down, not at market, but they're fixing the price low. Well, China and Russia and the rest are saying, fuck you. And the Russians are coming out this physical market, and you cannot keep it low forever. And now everything's in motion for it to go and explode because you've got this little war and you've got no more gas with the US dollar and all these countries getting off the US dollar. The US dollar's been holding it down because they want you to buy US dollars, be a monopoly, and you don't want gold and silver. As the US dollar fades away, all these people in US dollars, now I just explained, you got 300,000 US dollars in the bank, you basically got zero. If you leave it there, you're fucked because you'll never get it out and it'll never hold the value. So what you have is a paper mess. So you got to get it out of the bank, number one, and then into some assets, buy your house, but the houses has already jumped. That's why you buy the gold and silver, because they're about to jump. And that's what's going to happen. So as everybody gets out of US dollar, and there's 55 countries out of it, it'll lose the value. People holding dollars need to wake up and say, I got to get the fuck out of these. I got to get them out of the bank. And then you run and buy gold and silver, which then makes the demand jump. So it's like everybody betting New England. It goes from 7 to 10. It doesn't go to Chicago minus 21. That's probably the best scenario I can give you. Is that's what's happening. So really, silver is about $1,000 to $2,000 an ounce if you let it run free market. Sort of like football. New England, Chicago 7, it probably goes to 8. That's the market saying, I'm going to bet New England, I'm betting. So that's a free market, but you don't have the free market in gold and silver. So the COMEX number you look at, $18, is a fantasy. It's Disneyland. It doesn't exist. It's not real, nor can you buy it for $1,800. You go to my guy or you go to your store, what is he selling it for? $35 an ounce. Why is he selling it for $35? I go there and I laugh at the guy. I go, why are you $35? Well, we're looking at COMEX plus a premium. And I'm like, it's $1,000 an ounce. You're selling it for $35. You a fucking idiot? And I go and buy as much as I can eat. And I'm telling you to buy as much as you can eat, because you're going to buy something for $25 that'll be worth $1,000 an ounce. You go buy, you just bought 10 ounces, Manila. That's going to be worth, 2,000 times 10, 20,000. You paid 200 for it. Where else are you going to find that? And you can't find it in houses because they're going down. Cars, they're going down. Stocks, they're going down. Where else can you buy an asset you're going to make at least 10 times on, or what's that, 100 times on? Where can you find that? And the demand's there because you're selling it at 23. If you saw a line, if this was really Disney World and they're selling it at $23 an ounce, and we all know it's 2,000, the line would be around the park 12 times, people waiting in line to buy the silver at 23, knowing it's a $2,000 an ounce thing, but you can't see it. And then they keep the stupid COMEX, so you believe it's really 23 an ounce, not 2,000. Because if you knew it was 2,000, well, first you wouldn't be able to afford that much. So what I'm telling you is you're buying at that. But then there's the belief, well, is it really going to, why hasn't it gone? That's what I hear from my restaurant guy. Well, why hasn't it gone up yet? Because it's been fixed by COMEX because of the US dollar being dominant. But since the dollar is not as dominant anymore, and these raising interest rates is the catalyst, and this war is the catalyst, so everything is to get out of the US dollar means gold and silver. That's finally the catalyst to make it, but it's a no-brainer. Now, at worst case, we're sitting here 3 years from now and it's still $18 or $25 an ounce. You take it back to the store and he gives you back your $25. That's the worst that can happen. So it's a no-brainer, right? That's if I'm an idiot and you don't believe a word I say and it doesn't happen and it stays at $20 an ounce, you go back to the bank and sell it. Where else can you get that guarantee? You know your housing's going down. The cars are going down. Everything is going down in value. Everything's more expensive. So why would gold and silver not be? So that's my point. Once it gets out of US dollars, Katie, bar the door. You're going to go to Europe and you can sell it for a lot. Eventually, it won't be in dollars. It'll just be purchasing power. So it'll be, oh, you buy the house, you buy the car. Now you watch. Williams is going to go to Honda and tell him he wants to buy the car with gold. They're going to say, fine. That's the purchasing power. It's not in dollars anymore because the dollars collapse. But don't worry, your gold and silver will be worth a ton. It'll buy a house and a car. It'll buy what you need: food, house, car, clothes. You go into a little bit of silver. That's why you buy the silver. The gold will be 50,000 or whatever. It'll buy you a nice house, but you can't take it in the restaurant and pay for dinner. So that's why you have a little silver, which will still be expensive. Things will be priced, I guess. They'll need to come out with half-ounce silver. I bought tenth of an ounce gold, quarter-ounce gold, half-ounce gold, and an ounce of gold. I bought all those. And I just bought some tenth of an ounce just so I can take it to the market or something, wherever I need a little bit less things. But that's really where it's at. So real estate, you don't want to be buying anything because of the interest rates will be going up with inflation, because the lender is going to want his full value for his money. So you're going to have this crash. Your house that's 400 grand, you have to pay 600 to come back in a few months. It'll be down to 200. So in a perfect world, you'd sell it now for 4 or sell it for 6. I mean, I don't understand. If it's worth 4, you have to pay 6. Then why don't you sell it for 6? I don't understand the disconnect. But if you sell the house now at 4, it'll be worth 2 soon. It's not going to go up. It's going to go down because the demand's going to go down because they can't afford it. And people are going to need their money. So they're going to sell their real assets because the money won't be in the bank. So the only asset you have is your car. You have your little jewelry, your painting. If you have diamonds, if you have baseball cards, you're going to sell those because those are your value. And then you go from there, and then you eventually the gold and the silver are going to save you. Wait, Walt, you getting gold for 35? No, I'm getting silver. Gold, the cheapest I got was a tenth of an ounce. I just paid 200 for, but it's a tenth of an ounce of gold. So it takes, or no, it's a 20. No, it's a tenth. So it takes 10 of them to. So I paid like 2,000 if I would have bought 10 of them. I bought 5 because that's all he had. But no, an ounce gold, 17.90 from my guy. Half ounce was like 9 something. Quarter ounce was 5 something, and this tenth of an ounce was 200. Silver is 23 for the bar we got, or if you got the Buffalo bullion. But if you want to buy like the American Liberty, that's 35. That's an ounce of silver. But we're buying the other because it's only 24, and all we care about is the ounce of silver and the ounce of gold. We want the metal, because the metal is where the price is, not in the paper. So I'm telling you, get out. If you're in an ETF, they are scamming you. You think you have gold. They're trying to sell it as a physical ETF. There's no physical to it. You don't own an ounce of gold. It's all a scam. I'm telling you that. Get out of it. If you're in it, sell and then buy your gold at our store, or your silver. That's what's happening. But there is no gold in an ETF or these IRAs. There's no physical. They just sell it, as I've shown you a few times with my cup. I only have one cup. 1,000 people own it, but only one person gets it. That's what's happening. What do you think of the Buffalo Rod? That's what I'm telling you. Buy those because they're only $4 or $5 over the spot. Now, why? Well, they're not. Silver is actually money that says this is a $1. The Liberty silver is actually worth $1. It's actually money. The round's actually silver. This is not money, but this is gold. This has a value. This is worth 3/4 of an ounce because it's 18 karat. So if gold's 2,000, this is worth 1,500. Even though it's not money, it's 3/4 of an ounce of gold. So this has a value, even though it's not. So my gold ounce says $50 on it. Well, it's not worth 50, it's worth 1,800. So keep that in mind. It's always the value of it. So the round, it's just cheaper to buy the ounce of silver than it is to buy the $35 American Liberty head or the Canadian or any of those. Were all $35, which I was a bit surprised. I thought those would be cheaper. They normally are, but see, they know what's going on. $35 is a joke. That's just so they can pay their rent. There's more and more people going into that store. He's got less and less inventory, but it's not broadcast, so you don't know it unless I'm telling you. And I go in to ask questions, but that's really the only thing is you're going in asking the question, and you find out there's a lot. Like I always go in, how much gold you got? You don't have any of the buffaloes. He only had the bars was all he had left, or the $35. Well, why pay 35 and you can pay 23? So I'll probably go back and get another 10 ouncer today or tomorrow. And will the Buffalo, Liberty, or bar be worth more than the other? I don't think so. All right, so gold's at 2,000 an ounce. The Liberty, I would assume, is 2,000, and your Buffalo coin or bar is worth 2,000. It's worth the ounce. Now, will the Liberty get an extra $10? Maybe. So maybe the Liberty is worth 2,020 and the other is worth 1,980. I don't know, but do I really care at that point? If I pay 23 and I'm getting 2,000 for it, I really don't give a shit. But if silver's 2,000 an ounce, it's worth 2,000, and maybe you get an extra 20 for the Liberty, but who cares? At that point, it's you're buying the ounces. So that's really what you want, is to buy that. And it's really the only asset that hasn't gone up yet, gold and silver. And it will. And it is in all these other countries. It's huge. India, Russia, China are just buying it hand over fist. You just don't hear about it. Here, they want you to buy US dollars, and they're fucking everybody over because you won't be able to get it out of your bank. And that's the little where you're fucked. If you go online, or I can show you, China, they've closed the bank. So people can't get their money out of the banks in China. So you don't think it's coming here if China's controlling us? Absolutely. So just be very careful. The banks have a lot of outstanding loans and car loans that will not get paid back because people can't afford them. Keep that in mind. So what are they going to do? They're going to take your dollars and say, thank you. This isn't really yours. You're really a shareholder of Comerica or, Wells Fargo. You got 30,000 in here, but it's really, we don't have your money. Sorry, we're not going to give you back your money. So you got 30,000 in Wells Fargo, and now you got zero. Maybe you get lucky and they'll give you back 5,000, but so if you have a lot of money in it, you're fucked. And all you can do is get it out. And then if you're, I'd put half in gold and silver and half in your safe, because at least you get the money until the money is worthless, and the US dollar will be worthless. There will be a new dollar comes out. So what'll happen is, which has always happened, because this happened to France and England, they were the lead currency, and then they went broke, and they come out with new currencies, and that's what'll happen. There'll be a new US dollar. It'll convert $100 of this dollar will buy you 25 of the new dollar. That's what happens. This just always happens. Everything kind of gets reset. But if they don't back it by gold, it becomes worthless anyway. So just keep in mind, are they backing it by gold? If they're not, it's just, we're all fucked anyway. So that's the stuff they don't tell you that I tell you. So that's what's going on. So real estate, you don't want to be in the real estate business. Good luck trying to sell a house, there's no buyers because the rates are too high and the cost has gone up, and people won't believe their value will go up. And then, so it's all a seller's market, people just trying to dump. But are they smart enough? Like Williams, who's $400,000 house, if I offered you $350, would you be smart enough to take it before it hits 200? That's really the question. People don't understand it, so they're not going to take the $350 unless they need the money. People are dumping their cars The repo market in cars is huge. There's a ton of them. People are just walking away going, I can't, you raise the rates on me. I can't afford it, because they weren't smart enough to lock in with a fixed rate. They got variable rates that jumped, which made their car payment go from 300 to 600. I can afford 600. Well, why didn't you do a fixed at 3% and lock it in at 300? Then you'd be fine. But no, you go variable, because you see 150 for 6 months, and then it goes to 3, and then it goes to 6. You're not getting a raise at work. There's no raise. And I hate when they call it price inflation. There's no such thing as price inflation. It's the effect of the inflation. The only thing that inflation is the devaluation and printing of the money supply. The more money printed, then the less there's out. There's no such thing as velocity, as they try to say, well, the velocity hasn't hit. Bullshit. Or like bank accounts are down. Well, that's because everybody's buying gold and silver, chucklehead. They got to read into it. But there's no such thing as velocity. Inflation's here. They just don't want to tell you that, because once you're scared, that's what hyperinflation is. People are scared and run to Meijer's and Target and Kroger's, and they go, shit, I need to buy 1,000 cans of tuna and wheat checks. And, and I don't even know what to do, like with milk. And what do you do with, like, I have a lot of veggie or my avocado. Well, I can't buy 100 avocados unless I can throw them in the freezer somehow. But my freezer is full of meat, chicken, and vegetables. So again, and how long is that going to last me? A month or two, and then I'm going to die of starvation. So it's I don't know why the food is going to be out there, but that's another story. But we can't all become farmers overnight. So I don't know if it's going to be that bad. Again, I think you'll be able to get some food and veggies, but again, the price will go up. But I don't know. I would say get a water filter. So I'm not sure how clean the water is going to be. So you might want to filter it that way. So I think I'll run and get one of those pure pitchers where I can put the water in, drain out the additives and poisons, and drink fresh water. I think that might help me for a while. But it's pretty scary. But if you don't have gold and silver, you're totally fucked. Maybe diamonds and, like gold necklaces like this. Paintings, maybe. Diamonds, maybe. Rubies. Any real asset will go up because it'll cost more money to buy it, basically. All right, so that's pro football. A lot of good ideas and bets that we talked about, and college study time for that. 2 locks already posted, so if you buy today, you'll get the locks. I advise to buy quickly. Try not to wait till Saturday to buy, because the line movements change. And when I lock something at, let's say, like Tampa last week was 8, I locked it at 2. Then it goes to 10. Well, it's not a lock -4, but I've already posted it at 8 to 2. So it's -2, it's a lock, but at -4, it's not. And had they won the Green Bay game, they would have won by a field goal. And that's the point. No matter who it is, keep it under a field goal, because in the pros, ain't nobody winning by a lot. So that's what you want to keep your eye on. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Good luck this weekend. Again, I'll probably do an economic show tomorrow. Although we did hit a lot, but I'll see what's on TV. I watch all those gold and silver guys, just the guys in Europe I like. They explain it. The American guys, they don't know the difference between paper and physical. So they'll sit there and go, oh, well, the paper gold price is 18. I see it going to silver will hit 22. And you're like, fuck, man, silver's 1,000 right now. What do you mean 22? Oh, you're looking at paper silver. Oh, we don't care. It's not real. It's fictitious. But since they don't know it's fictitious, you can't listen to them because they don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, that's what's going on. So I am off to the coin store and look for some silver and gold. I'll buy gold if it's a 1/4 ounce or something where it's not going to cost me too much. I just bought some more ounces. So, it kind of, you're at the point where it's like, okay, I got to take a breath, and I can buy silver because I know I can buy the 10-ounce bar for $2.30. So that's nothing. And then you juggle how much do you want? in cash and how much do you want in gold and silver, because you do need to pay your bills and you don't want to sell your gold and silver to pay your bills. So you got to leave enough in cash to pay your bills while buying enough gold and silver. So it's a juggling act that you have to do. So try to budget that. Anyway, thanks for listening. www.teaserking.com. If you want to email me, my email will be there. It's on the front page. And good luck to everybody. So hope you enjoyed class and learned something. Again, ask questions or comments. Just go to the www.teaserking.com, get the email, and ask away. All right, everybody, have a great day, and I hope you do well this weekend on the football. Again, tomorrow's game, go over on App State, Georgia State. Okay, thank you very much.